Silent. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Law.
Morning.
Good morning, Colonel.
Chairman, the Port Shepstone drug, and we present today the testimony, Colonel.
May I ask your please? Yes, Mr. Law.
Thank you, Chair. I confirm for the record that we have of Colonel Gavin Jacob, and I requested that.
Please state your full names for the record.
It's Gavin Jacob.
Thank you. Will you be swearing or affirming?
Swearing.
Swearing. Thank you. Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me."
So help me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning, Colonel.
Morning.
Colonel, you should have around you a number of files. I'll try and guide each file as and when to that file. For the moment, locate your statement, and that will be Commissioners in the Consolidated Statement Bundle at tab.
Are you there, Colonel?
Ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colonel, confirm that you have deposed to a stage for the
I do confirm.
I have referred you to a specific document in the statement bundle. You confirm that that is the statement that you deposed. Please turn to page 14 of that statement. There is an annexure there. There is a signature there next to your name. Confirm that's your signature.
Confirm, Commissioner.
One thing I note about this statement, Colonel, is undated. Would you be happy that we, for record?
I'm
Do you swear that this statement, and do you, as you sit there, do you stand by the? As I discussed with you earlier about the process and approach we adopt, the commissioners would give you an opportunity to speak to your statement and highlight those aspects that you think are important, or particularly important, with as little interruption from my side, mainly, and from their side as well, while you work. There will, however, be times when some clarification is required, and that those you post. However, at this juncture, there will not be any interrogation of your statement. Instead, that will take place after you have had your up to state. So, on that basis, then, can I invite us to the statement? We deal with it, the terms that I've into page 1.
Please do not read your personal.
And any other personal in the state. From paragraph 1 to paragraph 8, you give a brief background, professional background. You may, where you deem it necessary, choose statement, or where you are able to may speak general. That is the paragraph.
I'll read from paragraph 1. I'm a colonel in the South African Police with Purcell. I am attached to the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, the unit commander of the Durban Serious Organised Crime Investigation Unit. Completed a Bachelor of Science degree majoring in chemistry and biochemistry from the University of Durban, Westville in 1998. I joined the South African Police January 2001. I was appointed at the rank of Sergeant as a forensic analyst at the Ballistic Unit, the Forensic Science Laboratory. In April 2002, I joined the Directorate of Special Operations, commonly known as the Scorpions. I was based in Silverton as a special investigator at the Crime Information Collection Unit. In November 2004, I was transferred to the GSO Durban, where I was placed within the narcotics section. I worked on drug-related projects. In July 2009, the DSO was dissolved and we were merged with the SAPS. I joined the DPCI Durban Organised Crime Unit, which later became known as the Serious Organised Crime Investigation. I was attached to the South African Narcotics Enforcement Bureau. I was appointed at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. From 2018 to 2019, I was placed DPCI Durban Serious Commercial Crime Unit, attached to the Counter Goods section. In 2020, I was placed back at the DPCI Serious Organised Crime Investigation Unit, and I acted as both SANEB and Economic Protected Resources section.
Please read paragraph 9 as well.
In February 2022, I was promoted to the rank of Colonel and appointed as the unit commander of the Durban Serious Organised Crime Investigation. The unit comprises a National Priority Violent Crime section, in brackets VC, SANEB, and PR groups.
Let me just say date, or rather the period was February 20. I'm saying that because you and Mr. Lo spoke at the same time, so that may have missed.
Thank you, Colonel. Before then we move on, can I just seek clarity? And it's because this seems to be the way you time. SANEB, the South African Narcotics. Can you inform us what the primary duties are, what your functions over there have been?
Okay, I was initially a second in command, a full Colonel A.K. Hussein. He went out, I took over the narcotics. But basically, our investigations revolved around drug projects, identifying drug syndicates, drafting a project on how to address them, dismantling of clandestine laboratories, harbor interdictions, seizures, undercover operations, all major or high-level drug-related investigations conducted by the SANEB.
You personally were involved.
That is.
You may then take your statement from paragraph 10 at page.
I have coordinated drug operations, managed drug projects, dismantled clandestine laboratories, and been involved in several drug seizures at the port and container. Prior to the drug seizure on 22nd June 2021, I had not conducted a larger. On 22nd June 2021, I received information from Duma of Crime Intelligence regarding cocaine in a certain container. He called me just after 7 a.m. on the said morning regarding the information. Captain Duma also called Warrant Officer Pangase regarding the same information. I called Pangase after the call from Captain Duma. He indicated that he would brief the brigadier accordingly. I think I missed a sentence, Commissioner. I'm just going to say that here I informed Warrant Officer Pangase that although I was on vacation leave, I was conduct this operation or attend to. I see I missed that.
So, sorry, can you say that? Which sentence?
Okay, I called Pangase after the call from Captain Duma.
Yes.
He indicated that he would brief the brigadier accordingly. I think there's a bit of a miss in between. It doesn't really make sense. So I'm saying when I spoke to Pangase, I informed him that I would attend the operation meeting.
Okay.
And what exactly brief on the fact that even though you were on leave, you were going to be part of the operation, or what exactly?
It was twofold, Chair. It was with regards to making on duty as well as to
And the brigadier referred to here is,
DSC.
Yes,
and,
yes.
and is he your immediate
He's
superior?
the provincial commander. He was not my immediate at that stage. He was one above. He was an air commander at that stage. My diary, Lomo.
And on that score, you say it's Brigadier, what's his, Dlomo, his rank?
Colonel.
Colonel Dlomo. Was that your immediate supervisor?
Yes, sir.
It filed 5. The sent
Would file two.
exhibit file 589. You'll see in paragraph 3, the highlighted portion. Is that the part that you want?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just to point out that the paragraph you just dealt with, paragraph 11, right through for the next 5 pages, you are now dealing with the actual, the incident, the 22nd of June 2021. And your paragraph 11 reflects how you were informed and then you became involved.
That is correct, Commissioner.
And you'll take that over to quite a number of paragraphs. Do you prefer to read into the record what you've set out therein, at least up to paragraph 32, or are you happy to just speak to that?
I wouldn't want to miss something out, so I'm quite a proficient reader. I'm going to try and read.
Let's try that.
Thank you.
Maybe before you do that, Colonel, at the end of paragraph 10, you say before 22 June 21 operation, I had not conducted a larger siege. You say that. And then when you were discussing paragraph 8, explaining SANEB, you said it is responsible or involved in all major drug operations.
That is correct.
What is defined as major drug operations?
To clarify, Commissioner, when I say I had not conducted a larger, let me see that word.
Paragraph 10? At the
Paragraph
end of
10, yes. When I say I had not conducted a larger seizure, I'm talking about a container interdiction where drugs were seized from a container, the port, or from a depot.
So it's not so much the quantity.
And not the quantity, it's the seizure, the type of seizure that we had done. I've done clan labs and the like, but this was the largest seizure of cocaine per se.
And then back to my question about paragraph where you were explaining SANEB. For example, I don't remember the exact word for major drug option about it. What is considered a major drug option?
When it comes to our mandate, we try to focus on what we call a criminal value chain and levels 3, 4, and 5. That meaning we're looking at our wholesalers, your financiers, your international drug traffickers. So we try to focus on those involved in the drug industry that are quite prominent and those that impact if we had to.
Thank you, Commissioner. Colonel, we may proceed. And we are then at your paragraph 12 at page.
On the said morning, I was fetched from my residence by warrant officers Pangase and Sibia, also of the Durban Serious Organised Crime Investigation Unit. The information was that there was a container in Isipingo with suspected cocaine inside. We met with Captain Duma in the Isipingo area. He informed us that there were alleged to be 27 pieces or units of cocaine in a container number BEAU 59-55535, which was stored at the CHC container depot in Isipingo. We proceeded to the depot and spoke to the warehouse manager. Captain Duma had pre-arranged with the warehouse that the said container was to be inspected. The container in question was stacked high up and between other containers. After moving containers around to accommodate the container in question, it was placed for inspection. We had acquired the shipping documentation, in brackets I've got SAD 500 packing list, etc., from the warehouse manager. When the container was placed, I noticed the original seal in place, as per the documentation furnished. I immediately suspected this to be a rip-on, rip-off load. This is a modus operandi whereby the drugs are loaded at the port of origin in a legitimate container. In essence, these drugs piggyback on this legitimate cargo and are usually found in canvas bags placed at the entrance of the container. The purpose of this is to ensure easy retrieval once the container is opened. This usually occurs at the port with the assistance of port staff and possibly customs or police officials. The seal is cut, bags removed, and the container is resealed. Sometimes a duplicate seal is used when resealing the container, or a new seal is used. The consignee is none the wiser, as their commodity or goods are not affected. Investigations of this nature is difficult to link to a suspect. I am not aware of any arrests pertaining to a rip-on, rip-off case in KZN or within South Africa. In the absence of credible intelligence, arrests are non-existent. I can also state that from all the rip-on, rip-off matters that we have dealt with, we have not received any DNA or fingerprints results back from the LCRs. Warrant officers,
Sorry, what's the news? Because if what they use no longer the seal that they broke, I would have considered whatever they now use to be a...
just for clarification, Chair, You can get a duplicate seal that has the exact serial number of the original seal, or they could just put another seal that doesn't even have the same serial number, and the consignee is not that bothered because their commodity is still intact. When they get it, if they ordered, I'm just using an example, 50 bags of rice, and they've got 50 bags of rice there, it's not going to be that much of a red flag. They complain, why is the seal the same as a shipping station?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Colonel, you may proceed.
Okay. Warrant Officer Sbia and I took photos as the container was placed for inspection, the original seal of the container highlighting the seal number, as well as the cutting open of the seal. Upon opening the container, it was noted that there were numerous black canvas bags placed on top of 50-kilogram bags of animal feed. In brackets, I've got legitimate cargo as per the packing list. We kept the civilians at the warehouse at bay so as they could not interfere with the offloading or the container itself. Upon inspection of one of those bags, we noticed it to contain suspected 1-kilogram bricks of cocaine. They were wrapped in yellow wrapping with Jaguar written on it and black and white wrapping with TikTok written on it. There were other border police, cargo operations, team unit, made a miss or a typo, right? It's cargo operations inspection team, uniformed members at the depot that were inspecting other containers. I enlisted their assistance to offload these bags along with my members. We counted 27 such bags with warehouse staff. The container was locked with a new seal. We did not have adequate exhibit bags for this quantity of drugs. Upon offloading these bags, I noticed that the area that we were working in was congested. I looked at the area around the container and I realized that unpacking the bricks of cocaine would cover a surface area greater than the area available. I also noted that the depot was busy with machinery traversing our immediate vicinity. Umlazi is 11 kilometers away from the depot, which I saw as a risk, and we were working in an uncovered area.
Before you 20, you know that Umlazi is 11 kilometers from the depot, and you saw that as why?
Umlazi is a volatile area. We know that we've got serious criminals, cash in transit robbers. We know we've got also major players in the drug industry reside there. It's known for not being that much of a safe place, a high risk.
So, and it's proximity of the depot Umlazi that
is correct. It was 11.
Please continue.
These canvas bags were then loaded into a marked vehicle utilized by the border police members. My main priority was to safeguard these exhibits, valued at approximately 200 million. I knew that Isipingo would have exhibit bags, Isipingo SAP would have exhibit bags, and would also provide a more secure environment to work with these exhibits. The container was locked and available for us to further inspect at a later stage. I took the decision not to cordon off and close the depot. I did not want to prejudice the company by closing them down for the rest of the day, as they were not suspects in this matter. We had acquired photos of the chain of events leading up to the discovery of the drugs. I knew that the chain of custody of exhibits would be accounted up until these exhibits reached Isipingo SAP.
If I may just a clarity there, you say you decision not to cordon off and close the depot. Would I be correct? That you took that decision as what the crime scene commander, the most senior person, are you responsible for the scene on what basis?
As the senior officer on the scene, any of the executive or decisions are made with regards to a crime scene would have fell squarely on. In a CIT scene, evidence uplifted from the crime scene, irrespective of where the crime scene is crucial. DNA, fingerprints, positioning of cartridge cases, trajectory of bullets, crime scene photos, etc. are all critical in proving your case. Here, crime scene management is paramount. Had the CHC depot been a crime scene that warranted cordoning off or retrieving evidence from it, I would have done so immediately. I, along with two DPCI members, followed the marked police vehicle whose occupants were Sergeant Simkize and Governor from Border Police. We did not lose sight of them the entire way until reaching Isipingo SAP. I must add that Isipingo SAP is 4 kilometers. Upon arrival at the station, I called Brigadier Newswa to inform him of the seizure. The members started to offload the bags, and I went to call the SAP 13 clerk, Warrant Officer Perumal. He came to the parking area and viewed proceedings. When asked for exhibit bags, he indicated that they did not have any of the required size. I then realized that it was futile to call out LCRC when we did not have the required exhibit bags. My members had a few of the bags of the required specifications, but not enough for this magnitude. We proceeded with the count of bricks of cocaine with the border police members. Pangase was noting down the count as we progressed and assisting with counting also. Sbia and I took photos of this process. The number of 1 kilogram bricks amounted to 541. The border police members then left to attend to other duties. Pangase entered the exhibits into SAP 13, into the Isipingo SAP 13, and booked them out. Isipingo SAP 13, 373-2021 refers. Warrant Officer Perumal signed to confirm the same. I did not view the SAP 13 entry at the time. I can admit that column 3.1 was poorly completed, more especially since there were no exhibit bags. A more detailed description of the different colors, the branding, and number of said bricks should have been noted in column 3.1.
Colonel, how did you determine that it was 1 kg? You weigh them, or is that based on your...
Commissioner, we did not weigh them based on my experience.
So, for all we know, it could have been 100 grams.
You are correct.
It could have been 900 grams, based on your experience and the look.
That is correct. Okay.
Colonel, before you go any further, just to perhaps point out to you that what is being made publicly available, redacted version of your statement, so we don't call out case number and such across them in your original states, try and skip.
Commissioners, may I proceed?
Absolutely.
What I can say with certainty, paragraph 27. I stated in a previous statement in this matter that I knew Isipingo did not store exhibits and that we had problems with them previously. My members on the scene have since reminded me that Warrant Officer Perumal explicitly refused to keep the exhibits on the day and that I should have been aware of the same. I hope to explain the reason for this discrepancy/confusion due course. What I can say with certainty is that Isipingo SAP would not store these exhibits. I called the FSL whilst at the station, not only to attend the scene, but to ask if they had storage space for the drugs. This would have alleviated the burden on us to find a place to store them, as they could attend to the analysis and eventual destruction of the same. They indicated that they did not have space. I knew that the two police stations that normally assisted with storage, namely Durban Central SAP and Brighton Beach SAP, still had exhibits from our drug seizures conducted in February 2020 and September 2020, respectively. I was inundated with calls from these stations requesting us to dispose of these exhibits. The exhibits stored at Brighton Beach SAP were amongst those seized in a drug operation in the Mshlali policing precinct in September 2020. The FSL attended that scene and took samples of a precursor chemical called anthranilic acid. The rest of these 50-kilogram bags were stored at Brighton Beach SAP. Paragraph 30. I then called Brigadier Newswa and told him that I had exhausted all avenues and that he should secure a storage location for the drugs. After a while, he called me back saying that he had discussed with General Sinona and that the exhibits should be stored at Port Shepstone Serious Organised Crime Unit. I did not know that Port Shepstone Serious Organised Crime Investigation Unit had kept exhibits. He further arranged a team to conduct the armed escort to the exhibits to Port Shepstone. I briefed Pangase on the instruction from the Brigadier. After a while, we were met by members of our National Priority Violent Crime Section as well as the tracking team comprising public order policing members. I handed the scene over to Warrant Officer Pangase, who was the investigating officer of the matter. I did not go to Port Shepstone and I was dropped off at my residence to resume my vacation. I did not give any further instructions to Pangase as he was a seasoned detective in this environment. The following day, when I contacted Pangase and learned that exhibits were only being sealed in bags then, I reminded him that they should be entered into the SAP-30 immediately to ensure there were no queries raised. Another reason for sealing them in exhibit bags is due to the fact that the FSL requires exhibits for analysis to be sealed in bags. It would have been prudent to photograph the process of sealing bricks in a...
Before you paragraph, am I correct? Understanding of your paragraph that after they were dropped off Port Shepstone, they spent the night not being in the correct time.
That is...
Can I also follow up on that? That in that period, overnight, there was therefore no record of what exactly, and I'm speaking specifically about quantity, content, there was no record left at the scene.
Please proceed.
Since the FSL had no space for us to forward all of the exhibits, the next logical step to take was to forward samples to confirm indeed if what we had was cocaine. I called Colonel Kuzwayo, who is the head of chemistry at the FSL in Amanzimtoti, and sought guidance in this regard. I cannot recall exactly what her instructions were, but it involved taking samples from a few bricks and placing a minute amount of powder into a small exhibit bag meant to accommodate these samples. This would then be conveyed to the FSL for analysis. There is no training or specialized skill involved in doing this. The samples are merely forwarded to the FSL by the member for chemical analysis by an analyst at chemistry section. This is accepted at the FSL in order to conduct chemical analysis. Pangase took these samples for forwarding to the FSL on my instruction on the 23rd of June 2021. He, however, only entered these exhibits into the Port Shepstone SAP-13 the following day, on the 24th of June 2021. I am not sure why this was done or this was not done the same day. Port Shepstone SAP-13, leave that out in 20. Paragraph 35. On my return to work, I took over the investigation on the 29th of June 2021. Pangase had made it known that he was leaving the SAPS, hence all his dockets and inquiries were reallocated to others. On the 1st of July 2021, I proceeded to the CHC depot with Pangase and Sibia. I had arranged that the clearing agent, in brackets Mega Freight, send a representative to unpack the container, and we conducted a count of the 50-kilogram bags of animal feed. They amounted to 5,395 bags, which corresponded to the packing list. This further corroborated the rip-on, rip-off methodology. The container was then officially released to the clearing agent. On the same day, I emailed...
My apologies, before you leave that paragraph, state 35 that when you returned on the 29th of June, took over the investigation, and that Warrant Officer Mpangase...
Warrant Officer.
You just called them by name?
Yes.
Warrant Officer Mpangase had made it known that he was leaving SAPS. Are you able to recall when he made that and how?
Commissioners, I can't recall exactly when, but what I can say for certain is that the member had made it known. Everybody in the office was aware that he was looking to leave, go on early retirement or exit months before or months prior to this incident.
So when you appointed him, determined that he was officer on the June, you were aware that he was leaving?
Yes, I was.
Appointed?
Yes, I did.
If I may ask why?
Okay. When you leave the police, it's not an overnight. Normally, there's an exit interview, it's a few months' notice, that type of thing. Unless in exigent circumstances, through early resignation, the turnaround time is much faster. So I didn't see it as an issue because I would have thought he would have had a few months at least left before he exited police, and I didn't see it being an issue with him carrying this investigation or investigating this I was of the opinion that he would have finalized, or this investigation would have concluded by the time.
And then just to read you paragraph 35, you took over the investigation on the 20th June 21.
Yes.
So he was an investigator for 1 week.
Yes,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Let's understand, when you go back to the depot on 1 July 21, what was the point of that? What was the real purpose?
On the day that, on the 22nd of June 21, when we did remove these bags of suspect cocaine from this container, I merely did a physical inspection by looking through the container. I could see no anomalies. I could see those white bags of what seemed to be kilogram bags of feed. Upon taking out these exhibits, we sealed this container. That's the closest thing to a crime scene we have. So it was sealed to keep the integrity intact. And obviously, when we didn't do a thorough search of it on the said day, due to the volume of bags, it was 5,005 bags. Hence, it was decided to come back at a later day where we arranged with Mega Freight, the clearing agent, to bring through laborers to assist in this.
But when you sealed and left the obstruction with the depot money left,
That is, Commissioner.
And before you proceed, based on the response you gave to Commissioner Baloyi, at your paragraph 20, flip back, the last sentence at your paragraph 20, you say the container was locked and available for us.
Yes, that's
When
correct.
you say it was locked, you read that to be locked and sealed.
Sealed, that's
Okay.
it.
You are now, I think, at your paragraph 33 or 36,
Okay.
on the same day.
On the same day, I emailed all the relevant shipping documentation, the DPCI, South African Narcotics Bureau, to be South African Narcotics Enforcement Bureau head, Brigadier Devon Naika. I am unsure of when, but CBI had handed me the sample that Pangase had obtained. Pangase was not at the office. I am unsure why Pangase had not taken these samples as soon.
Colonel, to clarify, the opposed to about 5 use the term samples. We had a debate with the lawyers at warrant. Let me see if I understand this. If I'm getting it wrong, clarify it. You take a sample, and FSL wants the samples to an exit bag. Am I correct?
Yes, Commissioner.
When they go to FSL for analysis, they must be correct. And because they are in an exit bag, whether or not they are samples, still regard them.
Smaller reflection, a smaller quantity, but a true reflection of what in totality.
But it is still labeled.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And that explains why some affidavits say sample, others say. But
That's what I'm speaking of, the samples.
And do you know what the quantity was of that sample?
I can't state because it was sealed in a bag, but maybe if I can elaborate. Should I get into the why did I instruct, or should I just how does it look?
We're not there yet. I just needed
it's
to know, was it a kilogram?
No, it was
500
minute
grams?
quantities. Basically, it was minute quantities of powder that were taken from 5 different bricks of cocaine suspected. They were placed in 5 little sample bags, and those 5 smaller sample bags were then sealed in a larger exhibit bag that encompassed these 5 or enclosed these 5 smaller exhibit bags that contained samples from 5 bricks.
So in total, it was 5 exhibit bags.
5 exhibit bags
Small
contained
ones.
within one larger
And then there was
exhibit.
a large.
That's my
bag.
understanding.
Perhaps also for my own verification. So when you speak of samples here, you're talking about the minute quantity that you say is scraped off from few bricks in the.
Yes. In
So
fact,
it's not the brick itself. So
it's not a brick itself.
okay, please continue.
Okay. Paragraph 37. On 5th July 2021, I took these samples to the FSL Amanzimtoti for analysis. It is only when an analysis report is received from the FSL can exhibits be destroyed, more especially for matters under investigation. In matters where investigations are finalized, exhibits may be destroyed or disposed of by the FSL without being. On the same day, I sent a request to our Priority Crime Management Center, in brackets PCMC, for profiling of the consignee, the transporter, the clearing and forwarding agent. On 19 July 2021, I sent an email to Advocate Governor of P's office with regards to assistance in this matter. Advocate Ram Kalawan was assigned to the matter. I discussed the matter with her, and she indicated that statements should not be obtained at this stage from any of the entities mentioned above. I was in contact with SARS Customs, and they indicated that the container in question was one of 10 that they had a detention notice on the 23rd of June 2021. Did not share any specific information on why they had flagged it.
And before to the next paragraph, say at paragraph 39 that Ram Kalawan advised that statement obtained from any of the above.
In clarity.
Yes, I will say from
Okay.
the entities
Okay.
mentioned above. So I
Yes,
just want to know
at that
which-
stage, according to her, we should view them as suspects. Certainty said that. So at that stage, she thought it.
And there's, when you say from any of the entities mentioned above, are you talking about the exporter and clearing company, the forwarding, those entities, or are there any
That
others?
is okay. Paragraph 40.
You go to 40. 39, you say, I was in contact with Custom, and they indicated the container in question was one of 10 that they had is on for 20th June 2021. You don't say, when did you make this contact? You just say, I was in with SARS. When did you make this?
May I look at?
Is it something that we have in the files that might help you to
Yes, it
describe?
would be an investigation diary.
Yes,
For this.
then we will have to go to the exit file.
You don't have to do that now. We can come back to it once they have assisted you to locate. But a related question is, why are you in contact with SARS?
Why am I contacting Commissioner?
Yes.
Once I had learned, when I did look at the actual inquiry filed, I noted that Warrant Officer Pangase had filed a detention from SARS, from Customs. I noted that container of interest that we had searched was listed amongst the 10 that were cited.
So from the 5, that there was a...
Please proceed.
Okay, paragraph 40. Between late July 2021 and August 2021, I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation documentation on the seizure of cocaine. I'm just going to elaborate on the seizure of cocaine on the 2nd of July 21 or June, as per General Sanona's instruction. I cannot recall when I had sent it to him. During the course of this investigation, I had obtained and filed 7 statements together with all relevant shipping documents, email correspondence, photos of the container and exhibits, as well as numerous other customs and Transnet.
Before you leave that paragraph, you say you did this PowerPoint presentation at the instruction of General Sinona. You recall what specifically the instruction was? What the...
My memory was jogged because when I looked through the actual inquiry file, I can't recall, it was a long while back, but I did make a diary that the provincial head had requested a presentation on the said seizure, a PowerPoint. And I noted that weekend I made in my diary, I was working as PowerPoint. In my investigation diary pertaining to the said investigation, I don't cite a specific date, but between, I would say, July and August 21, that I have prepared and sent this.
Now, you haven't availed that actual PowerPoint?
I can check, Commissioners, offhand. I say that I have knowledge of where it may be, but I can search or try and find.
Good, thank you. You may then move on to your paragraph 41.
Since investigations were amounting to nothing, my only option was to expedite the analysis of the samples forwarded to the FSL. It is only when an analysis report is furnished can the inquiry be finalized and filed as undetected or negative. In some cases, drugs are destroyed or disposed of without an analysis. During the next few months, I kept in touch with the FSL in Manzimtoti and made calls to the FSL Pretoria in respect to these exhibits. I also made inquiries into the exhibits booked out of Isipingo on the 6th of February 2020. Both laboratories were unable to accommodate these exhibits for either analysis or. Most of our communication with the FSL is sometime in October.
Apologies, Colonel. In the body of your statement, you do indicate 2 at FSL Azimdoti and 3 of these persons. Yesterday, at your 42, you said you also made calls to FSL Pretoria, but nowhere in your state you spoke to.
Yes.
Are you able to inform us who those were?
It would have been a Colonel Shole from FSL.
And what he hold and why?
I'm not sure of his exact title, but in essence, whenever we have liaisons, Pretoria, FSL, he's our go. He's always assisting, trying to. It's Colonel Shole. I'm not sure.
Just the one, just Colonel
Yes,
Shole.
it's only Colonel.
And just in very brief summary, what was the content of your conversation? Why were you calling?
You know, I can't recall every conversation verbatim. But what I can say is that when I inquired about these exhibits as well as these that initially kept at Pingo and our stories, both of more especially the ones at Durban, a lot of moderation being called.
Okay, now we know that you indicate that of the seizure, FSL is Amazimdoti did not have capacity.
Correct.
So you say during the next few months kept in touch with FSL. Do you recall when you started working off from the date of the 22nd when you knew that?
Yes, I can't recall. What I can say, 3 weeks.
And if I may ask, why did you wait that long?
Because I was already aware of what trying for laying at Durban Centre on time of February. So I was aware that even Warrant Officer Sanders' inquiries regard will surely Pretoria. So hence a longer while. In my mind, I knew obviously try to accommodate those at Durban Central first before they.
So then from your paragraph.
Sometime in October 2021, I was contacted by Brigadier Newswa informing me that there was an attempted break-in at the Port Shepstone office and that I should look into expediting investigations and analysis of exhibits so that exhibits disposed of. I had already been trying to get these and other exhibits accommodated at both labs unsuccessful. I was only able to escalate my challenges to individuals within the FSL that were up to the rank of colonel. On 27th October 2021, I was at the FSL and spoke to Warrant Officer Sachedi. He's an analyst that normally attends our scenes and has the FSL standby. I asked him about expediting the samples we had sent for analysis so that we could receive our analysis report. This would, in essence, mean that at least they could be destroyed. The formality of the analysis report would have been addressed. He explained that they required 7 to 10 bricks of cocaine to weigh so that the analysis report could reference the average weight for the total exhibits. If Colonel Kuzwayo had explained this to me when I had asked her about, asked her about sending through samples, I would have asked the members to do it then, in brackets, but either 22nd, unsure when.
Is this now, Colonel, the difference quality?
That is correct.
So the quantitative relates to the average,
Qualitative.
and the qualitative,
Actual analysis.
the quality of the substance.
Thank you.
On the 4th of November 2021, I called Advocate Ramkulawan inquiring about the status of them. She indicated that her supervisor, Advocate Governor, was to sign off on further investigations/queries and get back to her. I undertook this exercise to expedite investigations and dispose of it as soon as possible.
And before you move on to paragraph called one to inquire about this matter,
Yes.
what matter is,
The investigation, the inquiry that should cease.
and who was responsible for that inquiry?
At
this stage, who was responsible for the
I was the
inquiry?
investigating officer. Advocate Ramkulawan was assigned to.
And I'm trying to understand from your statement, you are inquiring from the prosecutor about the state.
When I say status, because when you send any investigation to docket or inquiry office, they normally send you back queries, tasking, further statements to take. They basically guide your investigation in terms of it were prepared for court.
So I shouldn't understand to mean when you inquired for the prosecutor
Yes.
about this, inquiring about this.
Yes.
But that you were seeking guidance to assist.
Basically, I was looking to see what else do you want me to do. I have.
May then move.
Maybe just to clarify, my understanding from the previous week is that there would have been an inquiry in a case like this. You don't have a suspect. The impression I got from that was that is a wholly SAPS fund, in this case, your fund. So where does Advocate Ramakalan or whatever official, where do they come in if this is a subs inquiry?
There is a directive issued at every cocaine seizure now our standard.
Was it applicable at the time?
Yes, it
of
was.
this operation?
And then if I may just follow up, you have the name of that off your head, and are you
No.
able to provide, if I may finish, are you able to provide the...
Sorry, maybe I use, when I say SOP informal, it's a directive issued provincial, and if not mistaken, every case that Hawks comply. I can't do that, I've seen it in writing.
So apologies.
And also from, like I'll give you an example, the latest we had the Harbour. It's again my unit investigating. On day 2 of this, we got a call from, so it understood EPCI, his office were also informed that any of our...
And would I be wrong to... It's not in...
I'm unsure. I received an instruction.
You had just done 46.
Can I
Yes.
just to try and clarify it? So what do you fair to the, because my understanding, you know better, my understanding is the doc ordinarily is what would make notes, instructions, what. So in a case such as this, when inquiry, what would you have, what do you submit to particular KP where the...
It's either you can submit physical inquiry. Physical inquiry, Commissioner, works on the same place. It's only that inquiry is not yet in charge. Inquiry is just for sending it to the lab. But in essence, it has the same, compile it in a similar fashion. Value respondent is filed, which is your investigate, where every do on that investigation. So copies of that or either the original inquiry will be handed to them, peruse it. Normally, prosecutors make his office, whatever power they did not do that regularly. However, in some of send us an action or some occasion.
So if the investigation file or an inquiry file, we, for this operation, would expect to see notes that indicate this exchange action and the instructions.
You may proceed.
On
Yes,
the same day,
please.
I called the acting unit commander at Port Shepstone, Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo, and indicated that I wished to come through with Warrant Officer Sechedi of the FSL, who would take 7 to 10 bricks to the FSL for weighing. He indicated that he was going on a wildlife workshop from the 8th to the 12th of November 2021. I told him I would come through when he returned. I received no feedback from Pretoria FSL and was aware that Warrant Officer Sando of my office was also making inquiries at FSL with regards to birds seized at CHC Airport. On 8th November 2021, I was called by Brigadier Newswa, who informed me of the theft of drugs incident at Port Shepstone. I was unaware of any of the security issues at the building prior to this. I proceeded with Captain Majola to the scene. General Sinona and Brigadier Newswa arrived a short while later. LCRC was in attendance, and Captain Majola and I canvassed the area. I must add that I bore no knowledge, neither am I involved in the theft of drugs. I was questioned and polygraphed with regards to this. I passed the polygraph. In response to the allegation...
I'm sorry, it may be of interest to you to know that there were all sorts of the polygraphs. Some people supposedly failed, a lot of them wrong. So what would your comment be if I say passing the test necessarily?
No, I'm aware, Chair, that this is not generally it's an...
That's not my question.
Okay, yes,
My question is about you stating the fact that you passed. So I want you to comment regard being held to the fact, yes, a lot wrong.
Be that as it may, when I did pass, I felt vindicated. I felt a good sense of it. So yes. I took that.
No, how we can't take that away from is how you felt, but what we make of.
Thank you.
Paragraph 4. In response to the allegation that Warrant Officer Perumal did not object to storing the exhibit seized on 22nd June 2021, I wish to add that I have submitted further statement to General Flynn's team over the years. I had expressly stated that we had an issue with storage at Isipingo SA, more especially Warrant Officer Perumal. A statement was obtained by General Flynn's team from Warrant Officer Perumal in respect of availability of storage space and exhibit bags. I've got 22nd. Subsequent to a statement was obtained by General Flynn's team from Warrant Officer Perumal in respect of availability of storage space and exhibit bags subsequent to theft of drugs on 8/21. At no stage was he canvassed regarding the previous problems I had cited with the Isipingo SA. One would have expected this issue to have been canvassed with previous seizure at the CHC depot on 5th February 20 involved approximately, I've got it, 570, involved approximately 570 kilograms of Mandrax tablets and powder. I cite the inquiry number. According to evidence tendered, Isipingo has never had a problem with storing it. So I allude to...
Do you consider that... do you consider that to be a useful comparator, talking about Mandrax as opposed...
I know where you're headed, Chair, and I understand that, yes, in terms of...
At this stage, I will not go to where I'm headed.
But I do appreciate it, but I'm referring to storage space, not the hazardous nature.
Thank you. We'll deal with where I'm going later.
Thank you.
Okay, it was paragraph 52.
Yes, you were,
Okay.
and you had just about Isipingo had a problem
Okay,
with storing
Isipingo had
exhibits.
never had a problem storing exhibits. See attached affidavit of the IO of Durban Central CAS. I cite the CAS, an extra GYJ1, and it's my colleague, Warrant Officer Sanders. And I state, this may have been the reason for my confusion regarding my interaction with Warrant Officer Perumal on 22nd of...
And based on the Chair's interrogation, I needed clarification. You state that's at the conclusion of that paragraph, this may have... Is there something that I don't understand between the 2 points?
I see. On the 22nd of June 20, when I was later interviewed, or even when I made my statement, all I knew in my mind, and bear with me, I know it may sound, as though I'm maybe lying, but this is, on the 22nd of June 20, was that he was not exhibits, neither did he have bags. And I see in my statements, numerous statements that I had furnished the investigation. I'm not quite clear on that, and then I say that, I didn't explicitly ask you. I know they've had a problem. Then I go on a further statement elaborating even while we were processing or counting these drugs busy in the parking area at Ispingo. Warrant Officer Perumal even remarked of, hey, the last time we were guys. So all of that was in my mind, and I knew for a fact that Ispingo would not use exhibits, whether it was explicitly told to me or whether I had drawn that inference from my previous experience with the station. I can't say, but what I can say for certain is that my colleagues on the scene have since sternly reprimanded me by saying, Colonel, Warrant Officer Perumal did not want. So why I wrote that I did not explicitly ask you permission to store it, this may.
Sitting here, what you did say, did not say. As you sit there now, did you or did you not on that? Did you or did
I can't recall offhand asking. And like I'm saying, that's my only answer. They were not storing it, reminded.
And then, just in fairness, what do you say? What do you say there for my just
Yes.
to be clear on?
Yes, I'm saying that I think I mixed up our previous incident in February 2020 and 6th of 2020 and the whole debacle there. Because although my colleague, Warrant Officer Sander, he mentioned it, evident, I am the one that secured Durban Central SAP with regards to storing those at Isipingo. So, that could be a reason for my confusion. I can't.
We might get back to this because I don't quite understand. If you say Ispingo has never had a problem.
No, I'm not saying that.
That's what you say.
According
accept
to the
that?
evidence by General Flynn.
So you do not agree with the
I do
evidence?
not.
Then?
I strongly do.
Now I understand.
There's a difference, though, between the availability of storage space and an unwilling difference on your understanding, though you are sure with, on your understanding, do say that some, so on your understanding, was it an unwillingness to store or a question of the unavailable?
Chair, this is my, they have storage at Celebrity. Even if you look at Warrant Officer Sanders, he states that Warrant Officer Perumal had made up that they do not have Mugad. So to me, it's not only a problem of storage space.
So you're basically saying storage space.
I'm not sure at that point in time what the exhibit safe looked like, but in a normal.
And if I then, to close off this point in the chair, you reference what Warrant Officer said about concerns with Warrant Officer Perumal that not having manpower to go.
Yes.
That was what was the regard to this by Warrant Officer? What did he express to you? We are now into. You say
yes.
you understand there was space. So from your recollection, what was for the rejection?
I can't.
So it's not the fact that he doesn't empower.
No, he didn't cite it.
Okay. Then I think that will take us to paragraph.
Do that. And it's not a factor, the lack of manpower. It's not a factor that account.
Thank you.
Okay, paragraph 54. Okay, 53.
Yes, we are now at 50.
These exhibits had to be stored, and I'm speaking Isipingo Mandrak. These exhibits had to be stored at Durban Central SAP from the 6th of February 2020 to the 12th of November 2021, when they were taken to the FSL Pretoria for destruction. If there was indeed no problems with storing Isipingo SAP, then the IO would have taken them back to Isipingo upon being turned away from the FSL and Manzantoti on the 6th. See copy of Isipingo SAP 13 as per Annexure GYJ. So, to further substantiate my claims, I attach a copy of Isipingo SAP occurrence 386 to 387, the rest out, as per Annexure GYJ. See headings, consultation, injury on duty, respectively. Entry 387 is made by the very same Warrant Officer Perumal, pertains to a member getting sick due to the drugs stored there. Surely this speaks to the credibility of Warrant Officer Perumal. And
before you off, am I reading correct? The drugs you referenced 3 are the Mandrax tablet, 547.
The evidence led states that I should have inquired with Durban Central SAP. And when I say the evidence led states that I should have inquired with Durban Central SAP and Brighton Beach SAP, Maiden Wharf, and some other station to store the 22nd. At that stage, Durban Central still had the exhibits out of Isipingo SAP on the 6th February 20. See copy of itinerary to travel from Durban to Pretoria for disposal of said exhibits as per GYJ. Before you to the next paragraph, just to stand your 4, you say Durban Central booked out of. What does that mean? Therefore, Durban Central did inclusion. There's no inclusion.
And you know that you knew it for a fact.
I knew that the drugs were stored there. I knew that they were.
No, I'm talking about. Just want to be
no,
clear
I wasn't sure.
Thank you.
Brighton Beach SAP still has exhibits from a September 20 drug seizure in the Umhlali area. They allowed us to store exhibits via Durban Central Organised Crime, the entire numbers. Being a smaller station, Umhlali SAP stored some of the exhibits in. We tried all other stations to assist and were ultimately assisted by a rural station, Glendale SAP, where we stored less valuable. Brighton Beach SAP was the only other station to assist storing some of these exhibits after we had exhausted police stations closer to the Umhlali area. Brighton Beach SAP is 70 kilometers away from Umhlali SAP. To date, these exhibits are stored at Brighton Beach SAP in an unused cell. There is a prospect of an arrest, hence these exhibits have not been destroyed. See attached annexure, GYJ5, photos of exhibits at Brighton. I recall that Sechedi was the same analyst that had acquired samples of this precursor chemical stored at Brighton Beach. He had conducted this exercise with an IO. And before you move on, similarly with Brighton, are you suggesting at paragraphs 55 and 56 at the time, therefore Brighton, if I follow up, do you know what they are? These above-mentioned police stations will continuously call inquiring about removing I did not exhaust every police station in the vicinity, as I knew how difficult to get assistance in this regard. I certainly knew that I could not request Brighton Beach SAP or Durban Central SAP for further assistance. I knew the difficulty in securing a police station to store exhibits, especially in light of the challenges. It was suggested that taking samples is unheard of. I did call the head of chemistry, Kuzwayo, and inquire in this regard. I have since spoken to Lieutenant Colonel Songa and Warrant Officer Sechedi of the FSL. It became apparent that the investigation team had obtained statements in respect of my interaction. Warrant Officer Sechedi admitted to being intimidated by those members that acquired his statement. He indicated that he was first accused of stealing the drugs before the interview began. In no uncertain terms, he made it known that his statement was made under duress. I inquired from him regarding our discussion on the 27th October 2021, when he agreed to assist with the obtaining of 7 bricks of cocaine for weighing purposes. He was reluctant to even confirm this conversation with me. During this meeting, he fetched his statement that he had furnished to General in order to refresh his. When reading it out, I noticed that he had stated that on 27th October 2021, that I had told him that people were planning to break into Port Shepstone office to steal the drugs, when in fact I had told him that Brigadier Newswa had informed me that there was an attempted break-in. The intimidation of witnesses shows clear biasness from the investigation team investigating the theft of drugs. I believe that in the absence of any evidence pertaining to the actual theft of drugs, a false narrative of what transpired was created. The investigation seems to have been directed towards this false narrative. The exhibit sees that the CHC depot in February 2020 lay in storage at Durban Central SAP for over a year without the IO being accused of never intending to submit.
Before you to paragraph 51, you may probably omitted at paragraph 58, page 11, you state that it was suggested that sample, I did call the Kuzwayo inquiry in this. Thereafter, you then about regarding the required, but you no longer at yourself sample. Discuss the so what.
It would have been from my morning, most probably, 23rd of August, right? I know I called Colonel Kuzwayo to ask advice, seeing as how I knew that the lab was not accepting. I just tried to the ball roll report. I did call her. She advised me how to take samples. And from my recollection a long time ago, but the way I recall it, I called Bangase directly, advised him exactly. On my instruction, that's how went about to obtain those samples in the manner in which Kuzwayo had guided. Maybe elaborate or type later.
With the chair's leave, we forget.
I did try to obtain my cell phone records I have official record for the, but I would like to say that the owners should not. I am stating on the very big call, give you an indication. I was hoping that provided either on the 22nd June, the morning of the 3rd, called Colonel Kuzwayo, shortly thereafter guiding him as per the guidance.
We'll request and call. So then to when you say inquire about 23rd of or thereabouts, just immediately after this, and that doesn't have anything. 27.
On the 27th, it was just a follow-up. It was a follow-up because in my mind, Colonel Kuzwayo had guided me on how to take samples, which I guided Bangase to. I submit those samples because when I came back from work, I did not submit July. And my conversation on the 27th October at Chedi was regards to either finalizing analysis report, either disposing, but getting rid of those drugs in Port Shepstone. It's then that he made me aware. I would not know this proceed ballistic. I would not know this. Warrant Officer Sechedi, who guided me on how this be done. Maybe at a later stage, we look at my contemporaneous and at that point. So I maintain that my conversation on the 27th with Warrant Officer Sechedi, he did advise me what we further in order to get a quantitative. I had only submitted sample, the quality.
Do I understand to say that, as a matter of fact, diary entries on
in the inquiry file
about your with Warrant Officer Sechedi, contemporary?
And Chair, may I just add, the evidence leader was when engaging prior to when I mentioned all that surprise. To me, I don't think it's fair that applied half. Obviously, one would be interested, I take.
And was there a similar to your?
No, the chair maybe was. Yes. At that stage, remember, I left it at that stage, Bangase.
But did you not make a note about your communication with Warrant Officer Sechedi after you had?
With Sechedi on the 7th, yes, I had done it.
So that's after you had?
Yes, that was
from leave.
Yes.
From leave. So I'm not sure that explaining fully gives us why would you not similar about, or concerning Colonel. You are yes. Back at work making all these inquiries at a time when you are at work. So why not similar? I hope yes. I'm not sounding like I'm probing at this stage. At this stage, I just want clarity.
This investigation diary works on a logic, meaning it goes day by day. You write the time. So I had done it the 3rd of. When I got back on 29th, Warrant of Pangase had already diarized. So yes, it's partially. But
do I misunderstand the facts? I thought you communicated with Warrant of Sechedi after you had spoken to Colonel Kuzwayo to inquire about what needed to or not?
No, I just inquired from Kuzwayo.
Which happened first?
The Kuzwayo, the sample, the guidance.
And then you spoke to Warrant Officer Sechedi?
After, much after 27th October.
I still don't understand then why you would not have made an entry that related Colonel Kuzwayo.
Like I said, the chair, if I was in possession of the inquiry and still at the, if I was still at the office and I called Kuzwayo, they had that inquiry in front of me, I would have diarized to date, time, nature of my
one last question. Were you not back from leave when you?
No, I contacted her during the 3rd. He serves me correct.
This has caused a lot of warrant. Okay, I think we will.
Chair will let's adjourn and resume at 25 past 11.
4 minutes past 11. We're about to resume. Please make sure your devices are quiet. Thank you.
My colleague, Commissioner Kumalo, had a comment.
Indeed, Chair.
Colonel, good morning again. We were in paragraph 58 of your statement, the first sentence. You say it was suggested that taking samples is unheard of. And it's not clear who you're referring to because in various other sections of your statement, Advocacy Law asked to clarify and you mentioned that you were referring to General. So here, who are you referring to when you say it's suggested?
Yes, a point of correction, it is General Flynn's testimony.
General Flynn, yes, because I did not want to use what General Flynn said with what Warrant of said. Because Warrant of said he was impeached by chair. In 6.3 of it, he refers now to 7 October discussion. He says, I told him that since the case, open brackets, bits or sample, close bracket, was brought to a cell as a crime scene analyst, the case could be analyzed by him. So he didn't take with the fact that a sample be analyzed. And 2 paragraphs earlier, or a paragraph earlier, 6.2, where you were now dealing with the total mass of and what needed to track. So as you and I discussed, those are quality. The other one is, and as far as Kuzwayo is concerned, she says she understood the discussion about analysts going to crimes. So it was in that context that and they may have to say you were talking about sample take from Port. So that's really where the all tried to.
You are clarified. We actually had gone back to your paragraph 8 you dealt with to clarify about 59. And so
I must add that none of my actions at the crime scene or at Isipingo SAP amounted to criminal conduct. The non-availability of exhibit bags was the reason these exhibits were not sealed in bags as per National Instruction 827. The non-acceptance of exhibits by the FSL was the reason that they were not forwarded to the FSL within 7 days. None of my actions were a deliberate attempt to ensure that the drugs were stored at Port Shepstone. During my interaction with the DPP's office, at no stage was contamination of the crime scene or the integrity of these exhibits ever cited as an issue.
before you move on to paragraph, clarify the reference interaction so far as those you know about that.
Okay, I think the reason I added this bit in there was just to highlight that at the time that this seizure was done, yes, in hindsight, I realize now there were a lot of could have been done better. But at that stage, faced with my challenges, try and get into that a little later, did what I did. However, when this docket reached the DP's office or this inquiry reached their office, generally they are the first ones when they peruse statements, look at the content of your docket or inquiry. If they're not satisfied with the level or the standard of work in terms of handling exhibits or chain of custody, integrity of the exhibits, all of the above, they would cite the same and basically indicate to management that this case is not taking it on, we are not satisfied with NC. So I put in this paragraph to show that at that stage, in terms of prosecuting this matter, if it had to go to court, his office had no issue with regards to the investigation thus.
Then the point you made, you did not raise about it. You don't go so far as to say confirmed.
No, I'm not.
Before you move, you in that paragraph, in the second, the non-available bags, exhibits were not sealed in bags and instruction. What does the national instruction that you're referring to say?
Regards to exhibit management, Commissioner,
Yes.
it says that drugs need to be sealed upon entry, the SAP be sealed at the scene.
And you say they were not sealed at the scene being at the depot because there were no exhibits, but the same at DCP, you give the same explanation.
What do you normally do when you are running short? Where do you normally source them? Because surely you have to source them.
There's no go-to place, I would say, Chair, for regards to getting exhibit bags. You try whichever station is closer to you. You try a few stations. Some have, some don't have. And just to elaborate on that, Chair, when I go through the inquiry, I see that even on the day, I didn't know this until I perused it, even on the day of the seizure when they proceeded to Port Shepstone, there were no exhibit bags because I see they made an entry the next day that they had to go to Port Shepstone police station to acquire those bags. So I'm just letting the Commission know that although my colleague may have alluded that we've got tons of exhibit bags, it's not always the case.
I was, when I asked the question as to where you source the bags when you are short, I was exactly thinking of what you said, which is you call around at other police stations to source them. I was thinking of that as well. We have seen from the evidence that I think one of the police stations that have been mentioned is only about 20 kilometers away, and I think another one is about 24 kilometers, give or take. I'm not sure about the third one, which is made on WAF. Or rather, let me just say, one is 20, another is 24, and then there's another one. Do you know how many kilometers the third one is?
I would think it's shorter.
Even shorter than 20 and 24. No inquiries from those police stations.
No.
But you agree that that's a very short distance?
It is a short distance.
Were inquiries made? If not, why not?
Firstly, Chair, time delay to send members. Sometimes they come back with 5 or 10 bags.
What's worse?
Yes.
What's worse? Saving time and not complying with prescripts which require that exhibits should be placed in exhibit bags. What's more important, saving time?
No, I agree.
Thank you, Chair.
Am I understanding you that you and your team did not have bags or enough bags with you, but you, as you were at the scene, did not meet any police state.
Thanks, Commissioner Baloyi. In response to a question from the chair, indicated, did I understand you correctly, that you learned late that they were transported to Port Shepstone, not
You repeat that
I
question.
understood your answer to posed by the chair that you subsequently learned transported to Port Shepstone, not in.
I knew that from the onset.
Oh, that's what I needed. So by the time you left the scene at Isipingo, you knew that they were being to Port Shepstone.
So basically, you knew even before you handed over the warrant of Pangase. So even before the handover.
Thank you.
Lastly, in that paragraph 61, the very last state where you say the crime scene integrity is cited as an issue, what are you conveying in terms of, maybe my question is, well, what did the DP office know about what the scene, about how the exhibits were handled? Were they ever in a position to express a view?
They would have had sight of entire inquiry. That would have outlined every statement that was there. There's in the investigation diary, Warrant Officer Pangase puts a date and time to when he selects where it was done, who was present. Another addendum where he's described the exhibit bag, the color of bricks in it. So all of that.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is, with this statement, you are not conveying that there was nothing wrong with the way the crime scene, the way the exhibits were handled. The absence of a comment from the office. You're not conveying the absence of a comment or an adverse comment office means all was done the way all was done properly. You're not saying.
No, the Commissioner, I will concede. They did not express a concern. When I look at it, there were a lot of. However, I still maintain that the chain of custody of the all of the above that are needed to take a matter to court was still in, albeit I will instruct complied with. There's no excuse.
No, I wasn't engaging yet the quality of what was done. I wanted to understand what it is you're seeking that statement.
Thank you. Thanks, Kana. That will then bring us to your paragraphs. But I see beyond this point, you deal in large part with the test general. And perhaps before we do so, can I ask you to go back to your paragraph 5? At page 5, there at paragraph 26, you deal with the entry made in P30 by Warrant of Sampangas. Now, you say, I confirm that I did not view SAP.
Yes.
Then you make settlements. But
Yes.
those admissions are based on your reading of the E30 long after that. Do you have an explanation at this juncture why you did not view the SAP at the time? Were you still not the person responsible? Were you not the investigator?
It was Pangase who was officer at the inception.
Also, you had already appointed and you left that part. Then that will take us to paragraph 2, where you then deal with General Flynn's testimony and I think the misgivings, some misgivings you have about that.
Okay. General Flynn cited drug seizure cases from Durban serious organized crime investigation that he had analyzed. Of those, he mentions 2 cases wherein the LCRC was not summoned to the scene. He does not take issue with this as there are reasons members deviating from National Instruction 1. It is understood that an IO uses his discretion and uses investigative aids, namely LCRC, if he knows it will benefit his case. The seizure of these drugs was never under suspicion until they were stolen. Never under suspicion until they were stolen.
Before Mal.
It's 22nd June 2021. The seizure of these drugs on 22nd June 2021 was never under suspicion until they were stolen. I did not have any hand in the decision to store the drugs in Port Shepstone serious organized. Neither did I know that the location was not suitable at the time. I followed an instruction that I deemed lawful when allowing the drugs to be stored there. On 22nd April...
I followed an instruction from Brigadier. Thank you.
On 22nd April 2026, General Flynn was at my office conducting inspections on all our cases on hand. I also asked him if there were any questions he had regarding any of the 10 cases he had drawn from us previously. I explained my challenges on the 22nd June 2021 seizure, as well as other cases. He did not bother to ask any pertinent questions or seek clarity on any issue regarding this matter. Even during this meeting, I did not ever imagine that I was a suspect in drugs. I will now point out what I believe will show the Commission that the team investigating the theft of drugs was not acting in good faith. During late January 2026, my office conducted investigations into certain drug-related killings and feuds in the Durban and surrounding area, an inquiry as a reference. These investigations were initiated by myself, Lieutenant Colonel KG Sbia, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, amongst 2 other members of the Durban Serious Organized Crime Unit. This led to an individual coming forward in early February 2026 who claimed to be involved in the planning and execution of the theft of drugs that occurred in Port Shepstone on the 8th of November. This informer/whistleblower/suspect was directed to a senior police official outside of EPCI on the same day. We had done this as we felt it would be appropriate for a neutral party to further investigate this. The head office investigation team was situated in Gauteng and would not have been in a position to immediately respond to. During the same meeting with General Flynn on the 22nd of April 2026, I informed him of this new information regarding the theft of drugs in Port Shepstone. I missed a sentence there. It's not going to.
Yes,
okay.
Just tell us.
Okay, paragraph 68, after the first sentence, right? It ends with Port Shepstone. Then I need to add this, but General Flynn wished to meet or interview this whistleblower/informer/suspect, right? I immediately called in the relevant member who was in touch with the whistleblower to engage with General Flynn, and I left the office. I later heard that General Flynn had sent out a team to interview. From what I understand, he did not go out with his team to interview this individual who had vital information. I can also confirm the authenticity/credibility and veracity of this new information. I was left in total shock upon viewing General Flynn's evidence before this commission. It is understandable that all of us that were involved in the seizure would have initially been viewed as suspects. In the absence of any credible evidence before his visit to my office, I can understand how it is a plausible theory the drugs were placed in Port Shepstone so that corrupt members could steal. The high risk associated with that storage place lends credence to this theory. However, the General ought to have reassessed his investigation regarding the theft of drugs after this new information given to him by some of the very same members implicated. He alluded to significant progress in the matter during his evidence before the commission. He did not bother to mention that this is as a result of the Durban DPCI members. This incident has caused them back.
That's sentence 9. You say, what do you mean by that?
I'm going to try and word it such that I don't give up. When I make this statement referring to being a detective, to hard evidence, to names, to places, persons, vehicles, not just something hanging in the air that's not tangible, able to be further.
And before you leave that, please don't mention any names. 8, you say I called member who, by relevant member, you mean.
This incident has caused embarrassment to DPCI, the police as a whole, as well as the country, and should not go unpunished. I do believe DPCI members have conspired criminal elements to carry out this crime. In the same breath, I plead with Commission to ensure that the proper facts are placed before them so as to maintain the integrity of the Commission. The damage that General Flynn's evidence has caused to us, innocent members, by creating this false narrative and orchestrating his investigation to suit the same, is irreparable.
Before you paragraph, at 71, you say this is caused embarrassment. I want to understand what it is.
The incident of the theft.
The theft itself.
The theft.
And then in that 70 where you fit false, what is the narrative? What did he say that if I have false?
The fact that he says by design and not due to, as the Commission referred to, a comedy of errors, I think that's also a stretch. I would say the fact that his theory was based on loosely, or can I say there was no evidence to support it. And in terms of, may I just delve a little more into, okay, like where I cite that Warrant Officer Perumal, a statement was obtained from him, the SAP 13 clerk. As a detective, when you go to obtain Warrant Officer Perumal's affidavit, and this is subsequent to theft, November 21, the drugs have now been stolen. Isipingo knows that they did not want to keep those drugs. Now you get a team that's investigating the said theft of drugs. They go to Isipingo SAP. I haven't seen Warrant Officer Perumal's statement, but I believe it goes along the lines where he denies that he said to us there's no storage place, denies that there were no exhibit bags. So I'm saying I have submitted so many further statements to General Flynn's investigation team, and in most of them I allude to the fact that we had a problem with Warrant Officer. Now when the investigation team goes to him, they should not merely pose questions regarding the 22nd of June. The 22nd of June. So to me, they basically asked him, did you have storage place? He says yes. Did you have exhibit bags? He says yes. Because he knows if it comes back to him that he refused us, he's also in the hot seat. So I'm saying, why was it not canvassed with him? The fact that Colonel Jacob alludes to certain incidents where they had issues with you regarding mandrax or whatever, but I did allude to it. So I'm saying the fact that the investigation team remained silent on that issue and did not even engage Warrant Officer Perumal to ask him, what's your comment on this? What do you have to say about it? To me, it was, the statement was taken with an objective in mind, and it was not done fairly. As a detective, you need to keep an open mind. You need to ask the relevant questions. And even the fact that I found those OB entries where Warrant Officer Perumal had booked members of SICK, made entries in the OB reflecting that a member went to the doctor for consultation because of drugs being stored there. I would have thought that that would have been uncovered by the investigation. The fact that they hadn't gone to that level, yet we're going to a level where we're analyzing inquiries and all of that. That's basic investigative work that should have been done. So,
Colonel, I thought what you were talking about a false narrative is the theory in 69 that the drugs so that corrupt men.
Yes.
And then you just got lost because you started talking about OBs and other things.
Sorry, I jumped the gun there.
Yes. Can you just answer that question? So
all right.
That's my question.
Okay, and the reason, okay, if you want to proceed, it's fine, but may I just have a little chance? Okay, I just lost my train of thought with this. It's fine. You can
No.
Actually started there in answering me.
Yes.
That's where you started. You said the narrative that this was all drugs.
all right, yes, no, I think I got my point now. May I just, all right, my point being was that it's clear that I was not involved in the decision to store at Port Shepstone, but it's being insinuated that I initiated or was part of this planning by closing off this gap of storing it anywhere else. The fact that I said to the DA, I've exhausted all avenues, I've got no storage place. So I'm saying that General Flynn ought to have investigated, because the fact that he cites, I should have used Brighton, I should have used Durban Central. Did he not find out from those stations, did you have capacity? He had clearly not known about the fact that it was stored there. In his evidence to the Commission, at no stage did General Flynn allude to the fact that Isipingo had turned these exhibits away, and that they were lying at Durban Central for 1 year and 9 months. And I will go on further to say, there's no official record of those exhibits being stored at Durban Central. I followed up and find an OB entry or a SAP 13 for when Durban Central accepted of February 2020. And I'm not doing this, Commissioners, to point fingers at others, to show that others are being wrong, so I should be left alone. I'm wrong as well. I'm doing this, I'm highlighting it to point out that firstly the challenges that we face, and secondly the fact that General Flynn, I would think, misled the Commission by not highlighting a pertinent point by saying to the Commission that I find it strange, Isipingo has never had a problem. That was his statement, Commission. How can you say that in light of? So hence, I'm saying what I say. Before I forget, there's one other. I've perused an affidavit of General Flynn's where he cites this Mandrax case, and like I highlighted, he did not point out it was stored. He goes on further to state that when the exhibits were confirmed Mandrax. In his statement, he says the exhibits confirmed Mandrax. Now, I find this strange, seeing as how the date of destruction by the FSL was the 12th of November 2021 was destroyed. It was from Isipingo that moved to Durban Central, was now taken out the vault. On the very same day, the members took it up to Pretoria, and the exhibits were disposed of. They were taken to an incinerator at some undisclosed location. So I fail to see where there is confirmation that this indeed was Mandrax, because no analysis, merely. So once again, it's a concern to me that General Flynn covers those bases when it comes to another member. Yet when it came to this case of ours, the investigation, I would, like I say, was, to me, not done.
I wouldn't want, if I can take you back. If you look at your paragraphs, the question by Nabaloi is, what is the false narrative? You understand that? And I want you to consider response to that paragraph and at paragraph 8, and I read midway. In the absence being General Flynn, I can understand how it's a plausible theory drugs were placed in so that the high risk associated with that lends credence to. Now, if you go to 71, where you talk about the theft, you conclude 71 with the following words. I do believe that DCI members have inspired with. So this is what, in the context of what false narrative Flynn.
I would say the fact that on the 22nd of April 26, this information that I can put my neck on to say is credible was furnished to General. He had ample time, or I wouldn't say ample, to finalize the entire case. But obviously one would have expected him to now compare this newer information, compare it with his initial theory, and look at the two, whether they gel. Investigation is all about a process of elimination. Initially, we all are suspects. As you further investigate, you start narrowing down your suspect to a few individuals, I would think. But none of that happened, despite us furnishing such credible information. And I must add, we had no clue that General Flynn was to come before the Commission. So it was not done with any purpose in mind. It was done in good faith to inform him, because they were investigating this theft. So I'm saying that the fact that he furnished this info, yes, it still does not exclude us as suspects, those of us who furnish this newer information. However, if you've had a few weeks to try and further investigate this, one would have expected you to have had something that a little more credible than this theory of it by design, which there's no factual corroboration.
And just to clarify, your testimony, the false narrative is that those who were involved in seizure had any hand disappearance, the theft. That's what you say is a false narrative to the extent that...
No, I think that's a true blanket statement, Commissioner.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to mention names, but obviously I did go on to say that I believe the EPCI members were involved. So
and it's precisely because of your confirmation of that bit you hold at 71.
Yes.
I'm trying to understand what your is.
Yes.
And maybe we might just not get
Yes,
there,
due to the sensitivity of it, which
Yes.
General Flynn has been fully made aware of, he would be able to understand what the statement means.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I go back to paragraph? I assume he has finished his statement. You went to the probing. I just want to clarify.
Yes.
On page 4, Colonel. Colonel, sitting here, we have taken it as a given that what was stolen in November 8, 2021, cocaine, and the value of that cocaine is taken. But because we are a fact-finding inquiry, facts are important. Now, in the absence of a qualitative analysis and a are we sure sitting here today that A, it was cocaine, B, the value of that cocaine? I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. I've had to do some reading, the UN report on drugs and other. Depending on the grade, even if the kilograms are 1 kilogram, depending on the grade, the value could range, and it could even be 400. So if an analysis had been done, and the quality, the grade of the cocaine, its market value would easily have 400, or it could have been 200, or now it's in that context that I seek clarification of paragraph 20. So because you say in your statement, your priority was to safeguard the exhibits, and then you say, how did you arrive at that?
At that stage, cocaine selling for about 180 and about 400, 300 to 400,000 to 400,000. So I think that's how we arrived.
But that was the average price.
Average price.
And it also depended on the grade.
Yes. Just to expand on that, Commissioner, with the grade, yes, the FSL can tell you percentage and purity. We don't normally get that, but I hear that they have that capacity now. But with regards to grade of cocaine, generally the price will depend on what the criminal networks call whether it's a one-way or two-way cocaine. Meaning one-way is cocaine that you only sniff, which will fetch a lower price as compared to cocaine that you can sniff and cook into crack cocaine or rock. Just to give you an example, a kilo of cocaine that's now two-way, the one that you can cook, can produce 1 kilo of cocaine, can produce approximately R1 million worth of crack cocaine. So, it talks to what you've just alluded to, the price will
And in my engagement with FSL people yesterday, I was deliberate because I'm assuming, I don't know the facts, I'm assuming that even the people who stole what we believe to sell in the market, it would have mattered to them what the quality of the cocaine is, because when they sell it in black market, they need to determine the price. The buyer and seller need to say, this is this type of quality, therefore I'm selling.
Yes, you are correct.
That's why yesterday I was so deliberate about what happened to the NSL, why did it appear and why.
Yes.
So I want you to understand that. That's why. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. Colonel, that effectively would bring us to the end. Now, I'm aware there is a document we would like to touch on, which we will do in the next couple of minutes. But just to inquire, is there anything that you may have overlooked or omitted to bring to the attention of the... Absolutely. Now, if nothing comes to mind, as and when then we engage in the course of the day,
Yes,
you may
okay.
refer
No,
to
then
that.
it's fine.
For the moment, you are fine.
Thank you.
I refer to this document because I think over the course of the morning you have consistently referred to, and you indicated earlier that it would appear that it was not made available to us as part of the docket, and you made it available in your text. Is that correct? And I do confirm that you did give us such a document, and that is the investigation diary that you assured the chair that it reflects activity regarding this seizure and subsequent, and that the notes were made correct. Now, for your comfort, that document, part of the bid bundle, would you like to, and confirm that is the document you say you have. Now, it starts at page 800 to 812. I'm not going to ask you to read this, but you want to highlight some issues from it as part of...
Thank you.
Just before you do so, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Perhaps you might start, when you do engage with it, by advising us how to the document and how to... Not so much the content per, right?
Sorry, number?
CJC 262. 268, my apologies.
So it's a new file.
Your file's updated. CJC 268, I think with the penultimate document, that's fine, David file.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just 1 second, Colonel. Okay, as I'd suggested, perhaps there are different entries made, right, in the investigation diary. At the conclusion of every entry, there's a signature. Perhaps your explanations to us, be on that bit, signed off minute, tells us what issues addressed there, by who, and then if there's anything in particular from the notes made that you very...
Just to give the Commission an overview of what this really is. Police investigation. This is your C-clip. It's your investigation diary. It's where the investigating officer will diarize every little incident, tasking, every duty he has conducted, every investigation he's conducted in respect of this investigation. So it's labeled with pages. The first page is 1, C1, C2, and so forth. The member puts a date, puts a time, makes an entry, and signs off with a full force signature that's unique to every. So initially on the 22nd of June, on C1, that's page 800, you can see its entries from Warrant Officer Mpangase, highlighting that information came to where did proceed, what transpired. Continues on C2 as well. Continues on C3. Continues C4 is an entry from myself, and I think I'll read that out just to show the preliminary or initially what tasking to Warrant Mpangase's investigation by myself. The entry on C4, page 803, it's dated 23rd of June 2021, and this is a 24 hours inspection. It's something police puts in place in order for within 24 hours to guide their investigating officer on what he done. With the readout, I say obtain witness statement from all relevant role players, request PCMC, that's our Priority Crime Management Center, to profile all suspects and business entities. I say liaise with his office, inquire that SARS Customs is brought on board, or ensure that SARS/Customs is brought on board the investigation. And I made an entry here, forward samples taken to the FSR. Then I think at the bottom of the same page.
Sorry, before you then clarify, so these are your entries?
Yes.
The 23rd?
Yes, but it's not made on the 23rd. So if I look at this, and I'll be honest, I either made it on the 22nd, just to as a formality to Warrant Officer Pangase, or I may have done it on my return to work, because I see nobody had inspected.
After the 23rd?
Yes, on 29th. So I don't want to mislead the Commission. I'm not sure when I made this, but it's my end.
And on that day, why would you have made a reference to SARS involvement?
Because customs, we generally, all of our drug cases, especially seizures that come through the harbour, it's not a joint operation. We still require assistance from customs. Remember, they are the custodians of lots of documentation, and they are privy to systems the police does not necessarily have access to. So it's a given whenever you investigate customs, part and parcel of it. If not part of the investigation, they give their input, give us documentation that you furnish.
I think, I'm still clarifying. I just want to understand the role of SARS to have the drug, to have sealed the drugs. Earlier in the day of the operation itself, you got whatever documents that go with consignment. So I'm trying to understand that what you say, Warrant of Mpanga, show that SARS can board what custom, given what has already happened.
In hindsight, and this I'm speculating, I'm not 100% sure, but good question. And if I look at it, it's possibly because the A clip in this investigation has a detention note from SARS dated the 23rd, right? So I'm not sure whether I had sight of that, but clearly if I look at the investigation diary, inquiry, that document was filed by Pangase, his handwriting. I'm unsure as to who furnished him with it. It's filed in the inquiry. So it could be, like I say, I stand under correction. It was a long time ago, so I'm just speculating that when I got back to work, and if I did make this 24 hours inspection, then it's possible that I was paging through the inquiry and I noticed that SARS had a detention notice on this. So obviously we would want to know what led to them putting a detention note, what red flags.
Thank you.
Just follow up is a question I was going to, I might as well ask this juncture. Your left column, this diary, timed.
Yes.
And then there are entry points of what would, are you questioned by suggesting that the date appearing in that column is not necessarily the date of that?
Yes,
How
it's possible.
No, I'm asking you, how do you want us to read your document?
All right, if you know, now that I look at the fact that I alluded to ensure that SARS Customs brought on board the first entry, normally it would come maybe at the fact that I put it here, 24-hour inspection. I would think that I made this on the 29th, 3rd. So I didn't make it on the day because looks like I made it.
And this is engage. Is that not to the next reader of the? And I'm thinking, if you made it on the 29th, why would you write it? And in the body of the report, is that not the most ideal way of being about it?
Yes, and my honest answer, Commissioner, is that it's a formality. It's a 24-hour inspection be done. So the fact that Pangase didn't take it to any other officer, 24-hour inspection, by the time I got back to the office, that for me is administrative. It's something that's frowned upon. One of the boxes that you need to tick 24-hour guiding. So it's possible that is.
Also, and 24-hour inspection?
No, there's a police sign that's just
yes,
smudged.
but that's not labeled there.
Okay, it says 24 hours inspection. There's a little comma there, and it says warrant officer Pangase.
I see, that's what it is. Thank you. Then you may proceed. You are helping us work through this.
Sure, okay, thank you. On the bottom of the same page, Commissioners, page 803, there's an entry 2021-0701, and I state there, to CHC depot with warrant officers Pangase, Sbia, flower day of freight present, unpack of container in order to verify if the contents of the container, we turn over now to 804, the contents of container correspond in list, unpack and count completed, approximately 5,395 bags, 5,395 bags of, and I named the animal container, resealed, contents of container as per the packing list, all in order, indicated to Tim Flaude, that's the replicating agent, that our investigation pertaining to the actual container is complete. Container could, and then I state that I sent an email to Brigadier D. Naika with regards to Dr. He's the head of SANEP. So, okay, that's another, that's showing that I did go back at a set, re-inspect and call that, confirm that else further.
Yes, can I just stand where you say July? Where SARS systems?
Their detention noted that, so I'm not sure whether they did inspect those other 9. So if they had engaged with us to come through and further inspect the container that we had already, I don't think a problem. But
I guess my question, if you are aware, and I really am just trying to understand, if you are aware, you are at this point that container is under when without the involvement of customs involved, without involvement instructed, I'm to understand.
Commissioner was aware or fined. I can't say with certainty, but I would think that their interest in it had waned since we had already discussed it. So I'm not 100% sure of the sequence.
But as we understand, their interest is the bone meal.
No. In fact, I'm saying they put a detention on this container. I can't say with certainty, but I would think for the drugs, because there was nothing wrong or there was nothing amiss with this commodity. There was nothing, a red flag commodity itself. I think what was of interest was the port of origin, the port of Santos, which comes up as one of the ports of origin of large. It's possible it's based on that, but my suspicion is that they put a detention note for the very same research.
We're just gone past page 3. Pace.
Okay.
You don't have to read every guide us on how to this document.
Yes, okay. Maybe, I don't know if it's of interest, but I've diarized here on the July 2021 on page 805 at the bottom to FSL and Toti to drop off sample for analysis. So I call it sample.
What the entry on the other side? We know the entry on your side. You say it's samples for analysis. Mention that with bags in their silk,
yes.
And you clearly say they are ended engagement of fair. Yes. But on the other side,
yes.
Does the entry also say analysis of sample? Because you have to make the request. They must know what. So what is?
When I did this commission, I went through my notes. Unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, I neglected. When I sent it for analysis, I just sent it. I said it's suspected cocaine, and I'm sending analysis. It doesn't make provision, but still, I think maybe I should have stated that it's a sample for larger. Just to go a little deeper, it's maybe because I had already touched base with Colonel Kuzwayo that I need to state that on my covering letter to FSL, but it was not.
It's fair then that could have been.
I wouldn't say there was confusion. Commissioner, during every stage of my interaction, it was known that we're sitting with 500. The FSL can't help. I'm trying to get rid of this, whether it be via an expedited analysis report, or if you tell me I can take it straight for destruction, whichever way. So they were fully
Thank you, Kumalu. We've made note of the end to 5. Then you continue. We're now at 8:06.
Okay. I see on the 2021-07 email request to the KD Governor for assistance. I found my correspondence in my beat-up aspect. So that was a covering letter giving them a synopsis of what had transpired and basically preparing to now guide us.
Okay, then see there are other ends there. And I think if my read the document correct, beyond this point, 2.6,
Yes.
all the entries are by you.
No, there is,
Well, except there's somebody called
yes, the one.
Linda.
Yes,
but there are no contact.
Yes.
There are no further is by one.
No, they aren't.
So you are now the investigating in charge.
Yes. However, Commissioner, I must point out that wherever you see a red writing this investigation diary would be an inspecting officer that would have been looking at this inquiry and giving advice or comments or guidance.
And noted, that's the same as your entry at page 803.
Yes, at that stage it was Pangase who was the IO, so me being a commander at the unit, the entry in red so that he...
And that's the point I'm making.
Yes, yes.
That the inspection of your end read by officer here.
Yeah, Nandlal. Nandlal, it's a Lieutenant Colonel Nandlal.
And that was the
Yes,
officer
yes.
where you are the investigator. And the entry in red by you at ISA and warrant.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I think there's
one more aspect, please, Commissioner,
Yes,
before
yes.
we tie up this. I'd like to draw the attention, my NT 2111, or even before that, the one on page 809, which is C10. 809.
Yes.
Okay, if you look at entry 2110T7, made an entry at FSL Manzam Toti, spoke to Warrant Officer Sechedi, in brackets I got analyst, regarding their Section 212 analysis report status. He indicated that he needed 7 to 10 kilogram exhibits for weighing in order to complete the Section 212 affidavit. Informed him that I would make arrangements in the Port Shepstone office to retrieve said samples with him present. So that's contemporaneous, that's made on. And then the entry after that, it follows on the page 809, the entry at the bottom, dated 2021-1104, called Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo, Unit Commander, Port Shepstone Serious Organised Crime Investigations, to make arrangements that I come through with the FSL member to obtain exhibits for weighing. He indicated that he was on a wildlife workshop from the 8th to 12th November 21, spoke to H. Nika of Customs SARS, arranged to meet the following. So that's a commander at Customs. So I think that's what I...
Can I just get the following clarifications? If you go to, that is now your entry in red.
Yes.
You call that a 24-hour... 803, saying page 803, CJC 260, that
Yes.
is your entry, and you had added 24 hours inspection of
Yes.
Warrant Officer Mbaka.
Yes.
Then when we go further in the document,
Yes.
and we deal with, is it Lieutenant Colonel Nundlal at page 807, once
Yes.
again in red.
Yes.
What is that? You called yours a 24-hour inspection.
Yes.
What inspection?
This is a normal monthly inspection, or sometimes it can be a quarterly inspection. It could have been a month-end inspection. I see it's dated towards July 21.
So this is a month-end inspection?
Yes.
And how often must it be done? Logic would tell me,
Yes,
would that be correct?
Yes, a monthly inspection by virtue of its name. Yes, it's
Yes.
monthly, but you get a quarterly. It depends sometimes on the type of investigation, or if it's not gaining momentum at a certain point in time, and then it starts to. But generally in the police station.
Okay, so preferably a monthly, otherwise. Okay, this one we see is dated 31st August. Overleaf at 808, there is another one.
Yes.
It's dated October. That's, I'll write
Yes,
that
there's one
one.
in September as well.
Where do you see September?
The one in September is page 808. It's C9. There's a writing in red.
That's 2021, 1020.
The date stamp on it says the 9th.
Or you go by the, so what, were they?
Yeah, this was another one. This was done by a provincial inspection. This was a team comprising of officers from throughout KZN who would now come to my office and inspect all of our docket inquiries, registers.
Then working through that document, now that I understand the theory behind the colorful, it goes up to 11 or 12.
Yes, you're correct.
Am I correct?
Yes.
And I see from C10 809 all your entries. We are now in October into November. So there was never any further inspection of
No.
from September till November.
That is correct.
Even the monthly inspection
Yes, there was.
and no.
The quarterly inspection would have now been conducted 12th. There would have been an inspection in the 12th month, but however, this inquiry was now taken away by head office 28th November 21, subsequent.
So, and there was quite a bit of between that. Why then was it not necessary from September to have month? And my question really is premised on the engagement we had earlier about your entry said 20. Actually, it was not the entry. My question: how do the callers know, in the absence of that these were not to the fact and not as
Yes, remember, if you look at it, I'll give you an example. If you go to page 809 E10,
Yes.
right, and it states their statement of Sergeant Governor of Border is filed, then you can see the date that I've obtained that affidavit in line, it corroborates or corresponds. So there's no other assurance I can, aside from that, the fact that it now corresponds with my A-clip. Like if I say I obtained the statement on the 1st of June, and then if you look at my A-clip, you'll see there's a statement obtained by myself on the 1st of June. So I can't, there's no other safeguard.
No, I appreciate that. So you're saying the fact that there is no monthly or quarterly inspection,
Yes.
the commissioners may draw comfort from the dates of the statements you obtained and you list.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I just check that 807 COA, the very 30th of July, you've got item 3 with SARS assisting with, this is a month, 5 weeks later. What is SARS's involvement in investigation? What exactly?
Commissioner, I didn't make notes, but I would have called the same commander that I alluded to at a later stage. At some point, to try and find it, I allude to a meeting that he failed to honor. And find it. I'm not sure the timeline. Yes, I think he may have been otherwise. Look at 809, page 809, right at the bottom, that's 211104. As I spoke to H. Nika of Customs SARS, arranged the following. So I'm not sure whether he was not available but we did engage, we did touch base. I would assume there was nothing forthcoming from them for me to really diarize and make and file something that SARS had furnished us. So, I can't say what their involvement was, but I was touching with them.
My question is to understand the role of SARS in what is now a inquiry. The container is not with them. So Customs is done its part. So exactly the role with...
Commissioner, sometimes SARS they've got their own profiling, similar to border. So it didn't hurt to make doubly sure that whatever so hence, but if I had to be honest, they're not very forthcoming in sharing intricacies where the information came from, what led the profilers, So bring them on board as a formality, but I think their mandate is first and foremost. So with regards to law enforcement, further investigation, drug investigations, we don't have that much corporate, or maybe they're not in a position to further. But I'm saying the reason we bring them on board is to ensure that we're covering all our whatever.
I think my difficulty with I come from an ignorant position that I don't know, and it's not obvious to me what in this particular operation, after all the facts that we now know, which is you got to a point where you said the container should be used. It's not clear to me, it's not obvious to me what would the continued involvement of the SARS in your investigation. And if you speak about it, if your answer to me is the way you're handling it, which is in general terms, you're saying usually this is what it still doesn't answer it doesn't give me any better clarity about what role in fact did you have the continued role of the SARS in this particular operation, not generally, but in this operation? Because for me, it's not obvious.
I think the main objective was to try and find out why did SARS. Obviously, something's a red flag. Maybe it's a port, or something that assists us. So it's done. I'm covering my bases. They've put detention notice on the container and hurt our cause. So we had them on board. If they come through with something good, because part of the task in the prosecution is to say get SARS or lies. So that's what we did, although there was not much.
Is it not the case that in the SARS you are liaising law enforcement to SARS? I'm just looking here at, you say, arrangements made under N of SARS. Yes. I'm assuming that's a law enforcement person who conducts investigation, whatever they cover in that, it may be so other, because there may be photos that you have, but they see.
Yeah, I can see that Commissioner Kumalo is being of assistance, but I'm still not clarified to mission. I'm not clear what in this operation, and I accept your answer is what it is. Yes. But I have to say to you that it's still not clear to me in this particular operation what the SARS continued involvement was about. You made reference to a detention notice. I would expect that it provides a reason why they put this. I think we saw this. It's supposed to be seen by a vet. So I'm trying to understand what role you will see for them in this operation. But I don't want to belabor it. I asked the question to try and understand their continued involvement. It's still not clear to me.
Commissioner, maybe just to clarify that, SARS did not put a stop on this because inspected by the state. That was not there. The state vet does it irrespective. That's part of the whole process, food stuff, certain commodity.
All right. I guess it will be part of our discussion. Right, we've had evidence yesterday about.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Thank you, Colonel. I think your call, the opportunity to put your version across officially come to an end in the moment. I would like to start with your paragraph 10 at page 2 of your statement. And as I understand, if you have regard to paragraph 8, from paragraph 6, you have been involved with SANEB, the South African Narcotics Bureau, from technically 2009 to 2018. You had a break for about a year, and from 2020, at paragraph 8, you went back to SANEB, and this time in a senior position. And by February 2022, you were then promoted to the rank of colonel and appointed as the unit commander. And under your unit included SANEB, correct? So that's quite a long career in, I nearly said it in the area of investigation of narcotics. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at paragraph 10, you say, I have coordinated drug operations, managed dismantled clandestine laboratories, and been involved in several drug seizures, the port and container port. Then you deal with a specific seizure of them. My interest here, would I be correct to understand you to mean that you've done a number of seizures, drug seizures at ports including the Durban container port. Did I be correct? Or am I wrong?
That's why I put they have been involved. Personally, this was my first, the one on 22nd June, seizure that I've investigated personally. It was the first seizure at a depot. Usually my investigating officers. This was the first one that I took.
Now, let me understand. I understood the last sentence of paragraph 10, that reads, prior to the drug seizure on 22nd June, I had not conducted a larger.
Yes.
I thought the point you to make there was the size of not involvement in seizures.
Just to clarify, when I say I've been involved in several drugs, meaning I was involved, I played a role either commanding officer, just over operations, weekly there, assisting whatever be done. But this was the first one that I took hands-on investigation, where I was.
So it's not a question of size of seizure, is that after more than 15 years of being involved in SANEP, this is the first time you set foot in Durban Harbour to conduct a seizure, a drug seizure?
No, it was the
Where
first.
am I missing?
Okay.
Please try.
Yes, okay. I've been president. I
Yes.
was not the first. I've been there since the inception. We went and opened up containers or reefer containers that discovered drugs compartments. I was there from the inception, from A to Z,
Yeah.
but I hadn't been the investigator.
Oh, yes, no, I appreciate that.
Why do you draw that being an investigator or involved?
Just for the sake of, I think
Does that distinction matter for purpose of what you would know or what you would consider necessary process?
I hear you.
Because
yes,
surely
yes.
surely you were not there purely out of interest. You were there as a police officer, and surely you would have had an interest in what was going on. So it's not just a curiosity. So the distinction should not really make it.
Chair, just for clarity, when drafting the statement, I was a part of the email that was sent to me by the investigators and the
Can you just answer the question?
Well, it was to
directly?
include this, sorry, Chair.
Can you answer the question?
Yes,
directly?
it was to include this. I was asked to whether I had done just see.
No. I'm interested in the value of drawing the difference between involvement, not being an investigator, and being an. I'm interested to know in this. That's all I'm.
You know, Chair, I think maybe I mentioned
Because,
it.
and bear in mind, I have made the point that surely, as a police officer, you were not there. The curious. So now tell me why you draw the, or what's the practical value for drawing.
Maybe I'm trying to show the Commission that this was the first one I had handled hands.
But in terms of what needs to be done, the distinction does not take us anywhere.
No, I won't shy away from that, Chair. That,
Thank you. That's all I want to.
Before I to Colonel Jacob, as I would like to refer us to 250 file, be the same file.
You say 250.
Oh, no.
No.
There's a correction. It's 256. It's changed to 256.
Mine starts at 255. That's what I was.
Yes, no, it's not at 255. The Commissioner is correct. I'm referring specifically to 256 at page 705. Now, I reference this particular document. That is the SUPS Operational Response Services Durban Harbour Standard Operating Procedure, Cargo Operation, Sector 2021-2020. The Commissioners will recall, and it starts at page 705, the Commissioners will recall that we came across this document yesterday during the testimony of, and it was part of the confidential exhibit file provided us by crime, and there was sensitivity as whether or not it is declassified. So I put this document before you as a document sought and obtained from the printer is running the back date your files. But in the interim, I would like to distribute an email we received from Brigadier M.G. Newton, Section Head, Visible Policing and Operation, Durban Harbour, Border Policing, KwaZulu-Natal. And technically, for your files, I think it is necessary to read it into the record. It's addressed to our attorneys. In the capacity of the Section Head, Durban Harbour, Brigadier Newton is authorizing the Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the justice system to utilize the content of the Standard Operational Procedure for Cargo Control, Durban Harbour. So I just want to specifically address that because I need to turn now to the standard. Colonel Jacob, you followed.
It becomes page 8, right?
Yes, it becomes page 813. That is the start of CJC 269. And it will be followed by the documents that Brigadier Newton has made available, including this SOP. They shall follow sequentially thereafter, but it will be the last exhibit in your file. Thank you. Now, it's a CJC 269, Colonel, is an exhibit yet to come. I was explaining the status of the document, right? Yeah. And giving the commissioners an assurance that we have been permission to utilize these documents. You understand that?
Yes.
That's all I need. I would like you to turn to CJC 255 at page 66. If you keep your finger there, keep your finger and you go forward in the file, you get CJC 256. And that will start at 05. You see, they follow each other.
05, 256.
Is that what you have? So both of these are standard operating procedures for the Durban Harbour. Now, the difference really is the first, 255, is for the period to 2021, as it's in page 686. You see that? And the second one starting at page 705, the period 2021. Have you ever seen any of these documents in your line of work? And I say, in your heavy involvement in drugs, port and container, have you ever come across documents or opportunity to familiarize you?
I have not, Commissioner.
You haven't. Now, if we stay at 68 there at CJC 255, I would like you to go to page, I'm looking at paragraph 7, that 690. And if it's paragraph 7 is headed duties of inner perimeter cargo operations. It's got subparagraph 7.1. You see that? Let's skip to paragraph 7.2. Depot inspection. And overleaf, first bullet point, it notes the following. The inspection report is dispatched from the admin profilers once container has inspection at the licensed depot. See what I'm reading. Do you know what a licensed depot? Please explain to the...
It's one of those depots that border has. These depots have an agreement with shipping lines after containers arrive at the harbour border.
Would CHC depot be one of the...
I heard Commission that.
They were a licensed
Yes,
depot.
yes.
And in fact, you are quite correct, because if you go to paragraph 4 under mission, at paragraph 5, and that will be at page 688 to be more precise, page 688, yes,
It's the
688, I'm correct.
fifth bullet from the bottom, just above paragraphs.
Yes, it is area of responsibility, that's paragraph 5, you see that? And yes, Chair, it is the 5th bullet point from the bottom of the listed areas there, and that reads CHC depot, bingo, prospection. So then you've always known that CHC depot is prospection, is part of is a licensed depot. It falls under the responsibility of the ORS services at the Durban. Is that area of responsibility, or is that an understanding?
I didn't.
So in the times that you were executing these drug busts at ports and at the Durban port, you didn't know the layout of the Durban port and the areas over which ORS has gone to...
Not specifically as.
What did you know about licensed depots?
Yes, I was aware that they are licensed, name them, but I knew they
Okay.
were contracted to shipping line border.
So you understood that, but over license.
I
You are
do.
saying what you did not know specifically at the time is that the sea depot is one of the license. When did you make this discovery? When you enter the harbour, are these areas not behind some level of security so that I can't just wander in? This is harbour operational area. They are controlled. And I think Colonel Sanders testified that you go through security. Is that not how it...
There is a boom gate manned by.
So it's a controlled environment.
It's not the most highly secure, yes, but
Now, did you know or do you know that at these depots, that's where sometimes, depending, that the inspections are, and that sometimes significant seizures are made. So your testimony to is that all that activity takes place in less than ideal security environment. Is that you?
in some cases, yes, Commissioner.
Okay,
yes.
now please explain in which cases do you refer?
Like if I speak specifically about CHC container, the depot in itself is not a fortified premises. It's not heavily secured, except for a boom gate and security officer manning. There's no.
Okay, maybe before I ask my question, what do you mean by...
I use that word, Commissioner, based question of the security premises. So I mean, there's nothing that's.
Sorry, Mr. Law said nothing about security. What Mr. Law said was, so are you suggesting that these operations take place at less than ideal situations? That's
Yes,
the question.
okay, yes, I can say that.
And now testing from your experience, because I think you're a very experienced colonel, police officer, that would not be an ideal environment to conduct the siege in the second.
I think that's a stretch of it, Commissioner. I would say with the right manpower, if you, the correct members, the tactic team, you've got enough support in terms of tactic, then it would. But on its own, to me, it's a vulnerable.
And on the day, why then did it, once you discovered the drugs, did you not stop? You did indicate that you were responsible. You took the decision not to cordon off the area, and you tell us at your paragraph 21. Why didn't you hold all operations until you had sufficient manpower on it?
Commissioners, I think on the day, if I explain, there's so many things that's going through your mind. This, firstly, if I put it this way, to Commission know of what thoughts were going through my mind, what thought process I followed. It's my first visit to CHC container depot. Container was removed from a stack. It was high up on a stack. They brought it down. It took quite a while to even get that container placed. So when it was placed, I think even the photos in the inquiry will show that there were other containers close by. The working space was not that conducive. So when it was placed, and after the photos were taken, the lock was broken. And upon opening the doors, now I'm faced with this magnitude of drugs that we were not expecting. And I look around and I see, okay, there's a container to the right, there's a container to the left. I've got a narrow kind of thoroughfare that I can offload the drugs, or unpack bags and lay them out there. However, the area itself was not, it was going to give us a limited space. Even if I did an outer cordon, an inner cordon, that area was not conducive. So my next thought process was, okay, logistically, do I move this 27 bags to another part of the depot? There would have obviously been another part that would have not been as congested. Do I move it there? But then I look at logistically, it means us carrying these bags, or how do we move it? Do all our police officers line up and carry it to another place? Do I seal up that container and take the whole container to another workspace? But in my mind, I know the actual crime scene itself is only the container, not the depot itself. So for me, at that stage, I made a decision. I firstly, bearing in mind we didn't have enough bags, the area is small. This is not an offense that required us uplifting physical evidence from the depot. This is not an offense, or the depot itself was not, I wouldn't even say complicit, but they're just an innocent party, happened possession of this suspect container at that point in time. If I can give the Commission just, to paint a better picture, if this container was at the rear of a truck that was traveling on the N3, and we had information that it had drugs in it, and we pulled over this truck at the side of the N3, do I now say that the side of the N3 is my crime scene and I do an inner and outer cordon there? My point being, I know that's an extreme example, my point being, my actual concern is the crime scene container. The depot plays no real role in anything, whether I start counting at the depot or whether I do it at a police station, which in my mind is only 4 kilometers away. It's under a 5-minute drive to get there. So I took that decision at that stage based on no bags, based on our situation that we were working in, based on the fact that, like I say, I did not want to unnecessarily prejudice that company. I know these scenes can take hours to process. And where we were at, yes, I could have moved it. But I took that decision based on the distance that Isipingo SAP was away from the CHC. 4 kilometers is not a more, I would say I was more informed to make that decision based on the fact that now we've got uniformed border police guys that are also there. There's 3, me and 2 other members from DPCI. At the back of my mind, I know it's never wise to move exhibits from a scene, but I'm consoling myself by saying to myself that there can never be any question marks or insinuations about the integrity of these exhibits because I'm now using members that I've never seen before, uniform members in full uniform. We've got a marked police vehicle that can cart the exhibits from the depot to the police station. All of those factors, at once. And I knew that in my mind, I knew the Isipingo SAP is going to have exhibit bags. So when we get there, it's going to make putting them in bags, sealing them, all of that much easier, and we enter them into the SAP. So that was my thought process as when I made that decision. It's a decision that I will now rue for the rest of it. Something I regret. I made that decision on the day based on.
Sorry, I have a serious reason is you have given a number of reasons why you considered it not to conduce to a proper operation for you to work where the cost. You've given a number, and those reasons have nothing to do with the one reason that you do give in your statement paragraph. You give the reason at paragraph 21 towards the end of your and it is the only reason you give. But now in response to Advocate Sillo, you number of, yes. I have difficulties. Yes. Is this not trying to rationalize the situation after the...
I take what you are saying.
Because, if you have so many reasons, surely this is something that you thought about at the time, and something that should also have been uppermost in your mind when you drafted this. It's all of that is simply absent, and you give just one example, and which seems not to be that important because you mention it right at the tail end. But it is that one reason that I don't understand.
I've got minutes. The decision that's going to either mean going in one direction and calling the guys out, be time constraints, those guys to mobilize. I had a lot of things running through my mind.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. If at all that was indeed the motive, but it is not in yours. All of those are the different reasons, but they are not. There's the one reason, which when you substantiate now, seems to be something not that important, but it's the only reason you mentioned.
Thank you, Chair. I am aware it's about lunchtime question, then we'll leave this topic. Colonel, so now we've established that CHC depot is the license. We've established that ORS, Ben Harbor, has, and you knew at the time. I
didn't know CHC was listed as this, but I knew. Yes,
okay, but yes. When you were at this particular depot, carrying out, you knew now you are under the auspices of ORS.
May I give...
I just wanted to know if you knew at the time, or did you think that you were next to a public area?
Commissioner, I think my answer to that is I did not I didn't know of this statement.
You're not being fair, Colonel. I asked you know at the time whether you were in the area over the ORS Ben Harbor. Did you know that?
I knew they worked there. I didn't know they had sold.
So if there were any security concerns you may have had, you'd have called on them. They're available. They are your members. They are part of...
Yes.
Did you call them?
I called them, but they drove there for 5 minutes, 6.
Colonel, at this stage, you are a very senior member within, if you say that for ORS Durban Harbor, command structure. If you need assistance, you know who to turn to. And even that day, you knew who to the harbor. You just don't talk to random police in past. Surely you...
No, in fact, they radioed commander that they were to assist regards to people.
Okay, we will get there after lunch, but my question is, your contact and you never called ORS.
No, I didn't.
So would I be correct then to say the moving to Isipingo had nothing to do with security and had nothing to do with the fact that Umlazi was 11 kilometers? That was not relevant at the time.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Chair,
Thank you. For the record, let me just indicate what reason you say, paragraph. I did not want to prejudice the company closing day. We're not suspect. I just mentioned that you had one for the right to state them. I'm not asking for. Thank you. Let's adjourn and come back at 10 past.
Good afternoon, all. It is 14:09. We are ready to resume. Please switch off your devices. Make sure they're quiet. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Afternoon, Colonel. You could just have your mics. Thank you. Colonel, I would like now to the day of the 21 to start with that at paragraph. And you then indicate I called Mbanga. I asked, you were officially on from the 10th of...
Maybe, but not till the 8th was back.
Let's check that. Yes. But it's an official and it's loaded on the subs. As far as are not with Kwapo.
Yes.
Now, you say here, I asked him that, can you how that the system books you off? You are not... How do you get operation during that? Do you require a senior? And is it possible that your senior may grant approval? Or if I can just... Or is it entirely up to decide?
My understanding, Commissioners, when you're on leave, you're on leave. However, a policeman, if there's an accident or some circumstance, robbery is in front of you, or some offense, you're obligated to act. So in those circumstances, yes, you may book yourself. However, this is not something that's urgent or life. I would have needed my commander grant.
Would your commander require why you must? It's not...
Yes.
So now when you say you asked, Warrant Officer Mpanga said, inform him you were not informing.
Play with words, but yes, I hear your request.
So is your correct testimony that you asked Warrant Mbanga's request on your behalf from back on 22nd?
That would.
Now, and it's acceptable in SAP, CI, that do that. You don't have to formally.
Yes,
it's not
it is.
recorded anywhere. That
There is record of probably commander or diary effect. You as would also be informed. It does happen.
you remember that before we go for lunch with your head diary, this not be a matter that reflected.
Not necessarily.
So it reflected only in.
I would say in his diary, as well as informing our HRM, our persons that are in charge of the pertinent. The reason I'm saying that is because sometimes we ask for the time to back at some point.
So suggesting we Brigadier advise whether on HR.
It wouldn't be up to he sits at it. It's my HR, but my so I would inform my HR person and take my diary. What did I book for and what would be stored? The time to register, a file, the time. I did, but
Now, did you file the?
no, I didn't file it. I just made a diary.
Why did HR?
I did want to.
It's time you're.
I was on leave for that period, and I worked for, I think, I left home just after 7. Not sure I got back in the afternoon. In fact, if I may go further to add, I love I look forward to a thrill truck past. Maybe if I may go further, indulgent. When I looked at my diary, even I see on 22nd of March this year, as recent, I had come back from vacation, Margate, and still on vacation. My Saneb guys called me to assist to execute a search warrant where the occupant was only at home for a certain period, 1 hour at a time. So every time my members went out, they were missing. So at this point in time, it was a Sunday. I had just arrived from Margate, and my captain gave me a call to say he's trying for his Saneb, make a while to mobilize because none of them in the area. And he asked me, and my name's always on every, I'm very open. So he asked me to come through and assist. So I went there, intercepted the guy before he could. The members joined 45 minutes. So my point, relaying the story, it's not out of the ordinary in our weekend.
Civic. Now,
You make the time you participated in this operation to be minimal. Based on what you say, it was actually a whole day.
Yes,
it was a whole day.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah, no, I just want to clear that because
Yes.
you sounded as if you were making it a very
Sorry, Chair. And I still proceeded to be on vacation leave thereafter.
I get that. I'm just talking about this one.
You're correct, sir.
Can I ask one question on because you were on the decision you make yourself? Why did you not assign it to somebody to assist? Why did it have to?
Commissioner, it's not every day that you get an opportunity to participate in an operation where you're inspecting a container that contains drugs. It's something that, for me, it was something that was worth going to work to check this information out.
My difficulty with that is that if you look at your entry, at this point, all you knew that it was 27, just one. So it was not something that was so significant that you needed to break away from your leave and be the one who attend. Even a junior officer or somebody in your team who is capable of attending a bust of 27 kilograms have done. We subsequently learned that it was more, but
Yes.
at the time when you were told that it's 20.
Okay.
So I don't understand why it was so important for you to say, I'm on leave, but I will.
I've got a response. We only became aware of the number that Captain Duma, at that stage, Captain Duma, the number of kilos that he suspected was only relayed to us when we reached Isipingo and did a briefing prior to proceeding towards CHC. We proceeded to Isipingo area where my two members, together with myself, met with Captain Duma. It's only then that he told us it was 27 kilograms.
Can I?
You keep changing that, to fit with the timeline. I had understood that when they called you, you were at home, they gave you this information, they kicked you up. Now you are saying you only found out when you arrived at the depot that it was 27
No, not the depot, Commissioner. Prior to the depot, maybe it's here in my statement somewhere. I'll tell you which paragraph.
Paragraph 13.
Paragraph 13. We met with Captain Duma in the Isipingo area. He informed us that there were alleged to be 27 pieces of cocaine in a container number, and I go on to.
Now, you see, it's 27 pieces and 27 kilograms, because I'm reading from your investigation diary. 27 pieces, I thought it's something, because here you say information received from CI was that container containing plus minus 27.
Okay.
And then
where are we reading that from, Commissioner?
CJC
Yes.
268 at page 800. That is your investigation diary.
Okay.
The first entry.
Yes, okay. This entry is made by Warrant Officer Mpangasi. Right? He lists information received from CI was that a container containing plus minus 27 kilos of the drug cocaine was bingo. So I'm not sure what time he made it, but he made it on the 22nd of the 6th. And 22nd of the 6th is when I became aware it was 27 kilos or units, pieces or units. Only when I proceeded with them to Isipingo and we did a briefing initially with Captain Duma. That's when the quantity that was alleged to be within the container was in.
So as far as you are concerned, when you decided to get away from your leave, it could even have been 5 kilograms because...
Yes, it could have.
That's why I still don't understand your decision that I'm on leave, but I will participate. Other team members will participate. I will.
If I can just pick it up from there, and that is my challenge. Because according to your investigation diary, that was the first entry you read. The first entry gives you the weight, it gives you container number. It's the second entry read thus. Myself, Lieutenant Colonel Jacob, Warrant Officer Sibia from Durban DPCI, together with CI member, proceeded to Isipingo Prospection Warehouse. You see that? So from this document, it appears the information was there before you even got to the harbour.
I think maybe Warrant Officer Pangas just got it because, with all due respect, look at every statement, every document in this inquiry, nothing.
Okay, let me ask this question. At the time you received the call, before you were picked up from home at 7,
Yes.
please summarize the information you had received.
Yes. Okay, at that stage when Captain Duma had called, he reminded me that, you remember I told you there's something coming on a container. It's at Isipingo, I think he did tell me, but he didn't give me quantity. I told him I'm on vacation leave. He didn't have to insist that much. I was wanting to go, honestly. So when he told me there's this information that we should meet, he's spoken to Mpangase, and that we should meet at Isipingo. Then I told him, okay, I'll talk to Mpangase. No, I'll ask him to, but I will come. So it was only when we proceeded to Isipingo, even in the vehicle, Mpangase never knew the amount, according to me, because he didn't discuss any of that, even Colonel Spear. None of us knew the quantity until, or me personally, I'm talking for myself, none of that was discussed. It was only when Captain Duma met us in Prospecton, prior to going to CHC depot, we met at some garage. He briefed us on the container number, together with the alleged quantity of narcotics with the container.
So technically, when you decided to book yourself on duty, you can't say it was because it was at the prospect of a large drug seizure, because you had absolutely no idea as to.
No, I didn't have it.
You just booked yourself on because it was a drug bust, a potential drug bust.
Because, yes, and more especially a container was in.
And what's the relevance of container?
You don't get a container inspection or information pertaining to a container every day. It's something that rarely happened. I know between 2020 and 2022, we had a lot of those, but prior to that, and even subsequent after that, these are very few and far between. It's not every day that you get one of these busts.
I don't understand, because at paragraph 14, you are the one who introduced the notion of rip-on, rip-off load. And that view you formed immediately upon seeing the container. And then overleaf, you then describe this modus operandi. And I read all you have set out there.
Yes.
As deriving from your experience, that with these containers, you know the rip-on, rip-off modus operandi. So now you are saying you were excited because it's a container.
Yeah.
But at 1415, it sounds like you have had experience in rip-on, rip-off operations involving containers. So, unless I misunderstood.
Yes, once again, Commissioner, I've been to a few, but I'm saying it's not every day like catching a street dealer or somebody, a drug dealer that we've been targeting. This is something that's coming from another country. It's a commodity that's originated from there. There's a little more, it's more satisfying when you seize or are involved in an operation of this nature.
Can I please ask a slightly different? I understood you to say earlier that your commander was, I think, Colonel Dlomo.
Yes.
So why do you speak to Nuswa instead of your immediate commander that you're booking onto duty?
Commissioner, I'm going to try and say this with no disrespect to the Colonel Dlomo. Colonel Dlomo had come back on a contract to work in the SAPS. Those members that went off at 60, and then there was an opportunity to come back on a contract. And the Colonel was not very much au fait with operational matters or anything of that nature. It's by virtue of her rank and seniority that she was acting commander. And at that stage, they were rotating maybe on a 2 basis, I can't recall, but there was not somebody placed there permanently or for a longer duration that now you could engage with and keep them posted on your development. So it was wrong. I should have contacted her, but she was not one of those colonels that was hands-on with operations or anything of that nature. It was understood that anything of operational nature would be discussed with our brigadier, or he would be the one to guidance or whatever you need.
Except here, according to you, you didn't speak to Colonel Nuswa. You sent Mpangase, Warrant Officer Mpangase, to do that. So you're not discussing anything operational with Nuswa. Yes. You actually just sent somebody to say, just brief him or whatever, that I'm coming onto duty. So that can't be, what you've just said now can't explain why you skip your immediate commander. And remember that in your earlier evidence, you said you must inform your immediate commander. So Nuswa is not your immediate commander. Still, the question is, why do you not comply with the requirement that if you're signing on back to duty in these circumstances, you speak to your commander, you inform your commander? That's, if you would answer that first.
Commissioner, I've got no valid doing so.
And even with Nuswa, you don't speak to him. You get a warrant officer, someone much junior to you, that you get him to be the one that tells that senior person, Nuswa, that you are coming back on duty instead of you reporting yourself to be back on duty. Can you just explain? Because it is an anomaly. Why do you behave that way?
Commissioner, initially when Mpangase told me he's going to brief the brigadier, I assumed he's going personally to him to brief him. And I know in the mornings is the time that our brigadier normally is engaged with whatever he does. But that being said, I thought Mpangase was going to have a one-on-one and inform him what's happening. But even though it's not stated in my statement, Brigadier did remind me that I did call call him, even prior to when I first allude to in my statement, where I say that was at Isipingo parking area that I called him.
That's not my question. My question is, when you send Mpangase to brief Newswa that you are coming back on duty, why do you send Mpangase? You have his number. You have Newswa's number, I must assume. The requirement, as you explain it, is you tell your commander, right? We've established you don't tell your commander. You speak to somebody else who is above your commander. But the second question that I'm asking you now is, well, why do you not speak to Newswa yourself to report yourself back on duty? Because you're reporting back on duty, right? Why do you not do that?
I can't give you an answer, Commissioner, but if Pangase, he did give me feedback that he has said it's okay. But if...
Maybe he lied. My concern is not what Mpangase said to you. My concern is to get a satisfactory explanation for this obvious irregularity. It's an obvious irregularity. You are on leave, one. So the context matters. You are on leave. You get a call to be told there are these drugs. You don't speak to your commander to say, I'm signing on to duty. You don't speak to your commander. You skip your commander. You speak to Newswa that eventually there are problems, his involvement with this eventually. But you don't speak to your commander. You send a warrant officer, someone junior to you, to speak to Newswa. You knew he was not going to talk to your commander. You send him to speak. When he says, I'll speak to the brigadier, you say, you knew he was going to speak to Newswa because your commander was on and off, and it was known that you speak to Newswa about matters operational. So we know you never were under any impression that Mpangase was going to speak to your commander. You knew he's going to speak to Newswa. And all I'm asking you is, why do you not call Newswa yourself? Now that you've decided the person to speak to is Newswa, not Lomo, why do you not call him yourself?
I've got no response to Commissioner. I should have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
On that,
oh, yes, Chair.
thank you. On the reason that you give about your immediate commander, which is that she was not involved in operational matters, I will not accept that at face value. You are on leave, and all that you needed to do was to report that I'm coming back. I'm no longer going to be on leave just for this limited period. I see nothing operational in that. That's admin. I see you nodding your head, so you agree with me. That's pure admin.
Yes.
So basically, you have not responded to Commissioner Baloyi's question.
Yes, Chair. I should have. It was an error on my part. I should have.
So you accept that you did not do what you had to do, and you basically had no reason for not doing it. This thing about operational simply does not apply.
Yes, I concede.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So now we know that you and Warrant Officer Mpangase are now aware of this potential operation, and you decide to attend to the scene, correct?
Yes.
Would I be correct to say technically the DPCI operation has started, or not yet?
At which point, Commissioner?
Once you decide you are going to CHC depot to follow up on the information given by Captain Duma of Crime Intelligence?
For me, I would say once I was fetched by my members' comments, for me, that's when my duty...
No, not duty. I want to know, when does the operation in your understanding?
Yes, in my understanding, the operation is actually at the scene where you're operationalizing this intelligence. So for me, the operation would have commenced upon our arrival at CHC.
May I suggest that it has to be before? Because, firstly, as to who turns up to follow up on the information is a decision that must be taken. And that decision must be based on a purpose, right? And that is the start of the operation. It can't be when you all arrive and then you say the operation commences. That's not how you run operations. I would like to believe that even in this PCI, when you decide to move from your offices to a particular place in pursuit of something or intelligence received, you are already in an operation. Do you have a difficulty with that proposition?
No, I agree.
Now, accepting then that this is what happened here, you are the most senior, am I correct, at the time?
That's correct.
You are in charge of this, and I'll put it in inverts, if you're more comfortable, quote-unquote operation. Who decides the team to carry out this operation?
In this instance, it was myself.
It was you. Now, so you decided to involve Warrant Officer Mpangase. Do you say that decision was already made for you?
That decision was made by Captain.
Did you have any power to override it?
If I wanted to, yes.
Okay. And then who's the next member of your team?
It was at that stage Warrant Officer KG.
And that was your choice. He was your choice.
Yes, he was.
Was he also chosen by, and I say chosen in inverts, by Captain Duma, or was that your personal choice?
That was my choice, Commissioner.
And on what basis was that? Why did you decide on him that he's the best person suited for this operation?
Okay. If my memory serves me correctly, when Pangase called me, when I called Pangase and he had informed me that Duma had already spoken to him.
Yes.
At that stage, we knew we were going to operationalize. And Pangase was at that stage going around the office, checking who's around. So I'm not sure what he had said to me. I'm not sure. I can't really recall. But I asked him, check if KG Sibia, just for the purpose of, manpower, and we have our colleagues that somehow we tend to choose Obviously, if there's 10 members and you only require 3, I'm just saying, you will choose those that you have worked with before, that you've got a good understanding with. So there wasn't that much thought behind it, but just put somebody that you normally work with, you've got a good understanding.
And also, it wasn't made on the basis that you appreciated this is a potential drug bust, that this says Warrant Officer Sibia potentially brings some expertise in that regard. That is not the basis of your decision.
No.
You just thought of a name and you decided he'll join.
He's competent enough, although he was not a fundi in drug cases, he's a detective.
Okay. Now you know you're going to the depot, which is around the harbour area. Earlier, in response, I think, to a question posed by the chair, you made reference to joint operations and you spoke of the involvement of SARS. Did you at that time consider this to be potentially a joint operation or not?
No, not at all at that stage.
At that stage, you didn't? Okay. So, if it wasn't a joint operation, then it was a pure DPCI operation?
Yes. And DPCI and crime intelligence.
And crime intelligence, yes, your source. Did it at any juncture become a joint operation in your understanding? And if so, under what circumstances?
Okay, I'm using the term loosely joint operation, but whilst on the scene, we requested assistance on border police. So I don't know whether technically define it. I don't think it's a joint operation. They were not briefed. They were not expecting to be of assistance to us. So I wouldn't call it a joint operation.
So it really was never a joint operation?
No,
I would like you to jump to your paragraph 18. And there is a statement you make in paragraph 18 that I want to make sure I don't misunderstand. The paragraph that starts upon inspection of one of the bags.
Yes.
The third sentence in that paragraph reads, there were other border police cargo operations team unit, inspection unit, uniform members at the depot that were inspecting other containers. You see that?
Yes.
Were these people, I'm trying to understand why you make the statement here. Yeah. Were they part of your operation, or you're just mentioning police teams that were at the depot doing their own jobs, inspecting other containers? I'm not sure I understand that.
Okay, but I just wanted to describe how the border police come about to assist or to convey exhibits at these drugs police station, and it was upon my request.
So they were part of your operation?
Eventually they were part of it after me requesting assistance, more especially in terms of transporting exhibits from point A.
Now, if we go to CJC 268, perhaps maybe I'm slow in understanding, at page 801 of that exhibit, perhaps let's start at 800, at point 4 at the bottom. So I start the point at the beginning. The container was properly closed and locked, the seal intact. The seal was broken and the container was opened in the presence of supervisor of the warehouse. I take it that is Ms. Pile. Customs official Mtutuko Kuzwayo. You see that?
Yes.
ORS members, Sergeant Mkize and Sergeant Gavin, and 27 black canvas bags were observed placed right at the end of the something commodity, just behind the container door. Cargo commodity. Thank you, Chair. Cargo/commodity. You see that?
Yes, I see.
The people listed here, did they just happen to be around, or were they part of a particular operation? Because when I read the investigation diary, it sounds like they were part of your operation and officially there to witness the breaking of the seal. And here in your statement, you say that they were inspecting other containers. So I'm trying, are they here by chance? Are they here as part of an operation? Where do we land?
You know, Commissioners, if memory serves me correctly, they were not present when the actual container was placed, when the photos were taken, the lock being cut open. According to my memory of that day, they were not present. It's only after us discovering 27 bags, interest around the warehouse, and I think they walked towards the area, and that's how it came up that I asked her for assistance.
So Warrant Officer Mbangase is wholly wrong in what he has recorded in this investigation diary?
I stand to be corrected, but my memory tells me that the border of these guys just came a short while after discovery.
Now, you recall earlier we discussed the issue of monthly, quarterly inspection, and you referred me to the statements you had obtained during your investigation, and you said that those statements have got a date attached to them, and that will at least demonstrate to the commissioners that these entries were not effected post. Okay. Now, I looked at this, and in fact, when I look at the inquiry, firstly, you don't state in your statement that there was a customs official by the name of Tutuko Kuzwayo. And when I look at the investigation diary, there is no statement by this customs official.
Just bear with me, Commissioner, for this one.
Can I help you? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for my original statement that I did file in the inquiry. I'm not sure where it is in your bundle, but I know.
Give me a date. I perhaps will be able to help you. Please try page 574, CJC 243.1. He said the first. I want you to look at CJC 243.1 at 574.
Yes.
So that is the first statement. It's unsigned that we find in the inquiry file. Is that the statement you're looking for?
Yes. Okay.
It should be the unsigned statement. Okay. This is the document you were looking for, Colonel?
Yes.
You can then deal with it.
Okay. Paragraph 5 of the said statement, Commissioner.
Yes.
Line 3. So I mentioned SAPS members mentioned above, as well as Mtuko Kuzwayo from Customs.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah, I see that I did write here. Sergeants Mkhize and P. Gavin from ORS, I did erroneously, Commissioner. And maybe if I had to elaborate on, when I looked at the statements, preparing for the commission, I saw that the border police guys did not in their statement state that they saw them off the seal. So to them, so I think when I put it here, I just wrote from my memory thinking they were, but when I did go through the inquiry again, I noted that none of them mentioned, none of those two members mentioned them off the seal. So this is not correct.
This is your first statement?
Yes, it was.
The very first you.
Yes.
And you say this statement, the very first you did, is not correct. So it would have been, when would you have made it? It's not dated.
Yes.
What day? It doesn't have a date, a month. When do you think you prepared this?
I can't say, Commissioner.
Okay, I can tell you that your next statement, which is CJC 243.6, is dated the 9th of November, just to give you perspective. Okay. So when do you think this one would have come into?
Definitely before that.
Before. And then if you go back to your investigation diary, why is it you, the investigating officer, never sought or obtained a statement from this customs official, Tuko Kuzwai?
Okay, let me look through the investigation. Bear with me, Commissioner. I'm not sure whether it was. Tell me, does this, Commissioner, does this bundle have all of the statements that were deposed to in the inquiry?
I'm going by your investigation diary.
Or my investigation diary?
They are listed
okay.
here.
Okay,
Yes.
let me look at that.
And this particular statement is not one of them.
That notwithstanding, Colonel, do you remember yourself ever contacting this customs official in Tutuko Kuzwai, or rather getting a statement from him?
I'm just going to quickly check here. Bear with me, going to check it.
So you basically say the possibility is there that you might have taken the statement, but you've forgotten.
Yes.
All right,
I
okay.
can't recall.
Okay.
I would have thought it would have been to do so.
Okay, you may look then.
I can confirm that based on the inquiry file we have,
Yes.
we haven't come across such a statement, and I can accept that perhaps it may have become mislaid in the file. So I thought the investigation diary will clarify for me whether or not it was ever obtained.
Yes.
And my challenge is I see your investigation diary makes no reference to that particular statement of the customs official.
Yes, there's no statement I see.
It doesn't.
Yes.
So my concern is, as you correctly stated your paragraph 18, these were just observers to what was happening. If that Kuzwaya was on the scene, it was not in his official capacity as a customs officer. Do you accept that? To witness this particular operation.
Commissioner, now it's coming back to.
Yes.
This Ntutuko Kuzwayo was the customs liaison guy for CHC. I had it wrong when I said he's from customs, because when they did identify him, all that stuck in my head, I think, was customs. So I thought of him as a customs official, but I think subsequently it turns out that he was somebody attached to the depot whose job it was to engage with customs, something of that nature. But, for now, that's what's coming to my mind, that when I said customs, I think at a later stage we realized, no, this guy is not really customs. When they said customs, he's the one who deals with customs issues. So it's maybe because of that, and I've taken statements from lots of other eyewitnesses at the depot. So maybe, I'm just thinking in hindsight, maybe I had enough statements from witnesses, that is why I didn't obtain it. I stand to be corrected there. That's just my memory of it.
And in fact, it is so that you personally, as the lead of this team, did not seek to involve any custom official or customs, or invited them to the operation. You didn't.
No, I did not, Commissioner.
You didn't. So then, once again, the commissioners must accept that Warrant Officer Mbanga's entry in the investigation diary that the seal was broken in the presence of inter alia customs official Ntutuko Kuzwayo is wholly misleading. There was no such custom.
Yes, yes.
Would it be fair to suggest to you that that is done deliberately by Warrant Officer Mbangase and done deliberately by you in your first unsigned statement at paragraph 5 to give the semblance of officialdom to this operation? Would it be?
No, Commissioner.
Why would it not?
There would be no benefit to just include somebody, just say he's from customs for the sake of it, because any detective that knows what's what will know that you're going to get caught out with. It's not something, it was not something done maliciously or with any intent behind it. I think it was just when we took down notes of, or it would have been Pangas, as to who was on the scene, warehouse manager, there I see there's a security, I won't go with the name, but from IMAX Security, there was different officials around, or different staff members from the warehouse. So it's possible, when this guy even used a reflector, from what I could gather, that looks somewhat like what customs guys use on a scene as well. So maybe that was part of the reason. But I'm sure even if we look at who this person is, maybe he's got some customs on his title or so that could have thrown us off, but it was not intentional, Commissioner.
Can I raise my difficulty with this? One, this is the second instance of the investigation diary not being an accurate reflection of what in fact happened. The first, remember, it is your entry that is dated the 23rd of June. We had that discussion earlier and established that to the extent that represents to a reader that that entry was made on the day by you, on the 23rd. That is misleading.
Yes.
This is the second thing. This time the entry is made by Warrant Officer Mpangase. There was no customs official present when the seal was broken. You have explained that you have since found out that he is in fact a person who is a liaison for CHC, not a custom officials. So that's misrepresentation in your diary. And then there's Sergeant Mkize and Governor. They were not there when the seal was broken. That is a misrepresentation. In fact, you say that you in your statement that to the commission, you don't mention them as present because you've seen their statement that they don't speak to being present. So that's another instance that this investigation diary, a reader has to be cautious when reading it, not accept without more that what it reflects is accurate. Do you accept that's a fair position to take? Okay. And lastly, my concern is you in your statement seem to, and this is the statement at 574, the one that you made in 2021, which is not dated. You basically copied what Mpangase said in the investigation diary or in your discussion with him at paragraph 5, where you say there's Ntutuko Kuzwayo from Customs, Sergeant Mkize, and P. Govender. You list exactly the same people that he entered in the investigation diary. You basically copied from there. This statement in 2021, immediately, fresh after the incident, whenever in 2021 that was, it would still have been very fresh, contains matter that is not correct. And you would have known that as you put it down as what you are saying and what you observe is in fact inaccurate. Yes, and it's misleading. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And if we move to CJC, 243.6, that is now your second statement, CJC 243.6. That is a signed statement dated the 9th of November.
Page?
It starts at page 589, Chair.
589.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have you located it, Colonel?
1 second, Commissioner. 589. Yeah, got it. Yes.
Now, if you go to page 592, that's where your signature appears, and it's dated 9th November 2021, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, let's go back a bit, and we go to your paragraph 7 of that statement. You say the seal was intact and correspondent with that on the document, seal number H1905754 refers. The seal was broken by an employee of the warehouse in the presence of the warehouse manager, security officer, ORS members, Captain Duma, and DPCI members.
Yes.
The customs official has disappeared here. Is that because you realized the error that it was never a customs official? What's happening?
Yes, it could be the case.
No, I want to know if it is the case.
Yes, because it came back to my memory, which means I discovered it at some point in time, so it would make sense that I...
How did you discover?
Maybe while talking to the warehouse manager, I'm not even sure, but we did obtain a statement from the warehouse manager. It's quite possible that while engaging with the, it came out that this guy he's not really a customs official, he's somebody else for the warehouse.
See, when you answer that way, then it's quite possible that that is not how you discovered.
It's possible, I'm just
speculating. So
speculating.
somehow, miraculously, you were able to correct this error. Let's continue.
Sorry, but you also don't mention that customs person, liaison, even after you say you have, look at the list of who you mentioned. So it's not just a function of you've since clarified that the person you thought was a customs official is in fact a custom liaison person of CHC. In fact, he finds no mention whatsoever, so you're one person short now.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we continue for that now, we have to go back to your original statement, and I take it this is actually your best statement, because your memory is at its very best, the unsigned statement at 574.
Yes.
Subsequent statement in memory fades, so we get our facts slightly wrong.
Yes.
Now, on this statement, at paragraph 5, we have now discounted any custom member by the name of Ntutuko Kuzwayo or otherwise. You say there was Sergeant W. Mkize and P. Govender from ORS Durban Harbour. You
Yes.
see that?
Yes.
Who are those?
It's the same members that assisted with regards to conveying those exhibits, those border police members.
How did they get to be on the scene?
They were there conducting their duties at CHC depot.
Their own duties.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
how do they become part of your operation?
Upon my request
For
assistance with regards to conveying it from the depot to the police station.
also these are the ORS members who were working at the Durban Harbour, and you personally requested them to assist you with transportation.
That's correct.
They were not part of the breaking of the seal and all that.
No, not. As I said, Commissioner, it's upon reading their statements, preparing for here, that I realized they were not part of that.
But if you go to your statement of the 9th of November, you still maintain there were ORS members at the scene during this operation. Which ones are they? If
Yes.
it's not these two who you happen to call as they pass to help you with transportation, which ORS members
It's
are
the same two.
Oh, so you hadn't realized this error by the time you deposed to your second statement?
Yes, that's correct.
So you maintain that error?
Yes,
And you
it's
call
an
them
error.
ORS members at the scene?
I did call them, and to set the record straight. When preparing for the commission, when I looked through the inquiry, I was the one that obtained both statements from Mkhize and Governor. And it's only when I obtained that I did realize nowhere did they speak about them observing us break the lock. And that's why today I can sit here and say it with confidence. But somehow, when we did this operation, it was in my mind that ORS was there and they witnessed it, hence I put it there. But it was not with any intention to mislead anybody.
Okay, let's go to their statements and see what they say. That will be CJC 261 and CJC 262, starting at page 777. That is the first statement. Are you there yet, Colonel?
Not yet, Commissioner, please bear with me.
Yeah, no. You'll get assistance.
261.
Okay.
Got it, Commissioner.
Now, the first statement, CJC 261,
Yes.
is by Kubendren Govender.
Yes, that's
Is that
correct.
correct? And the next one is by Wanda Kolani, but the surname is at the bottom, and that's Mkhize. These are the two ORS members you say were present during the operation.
That's correct.
Okay.
Commissioner.
Let's look at Sergeant Govender at 777. He gives his details and the like. Now let's go to paragraph 3. At paragraph 3, and I'll read this in the record, I quote, during the course of our duties, we approached, if I may start in paragraph 2. The last two sentences. We, and by we he references himself and Sergeant Mkhize. You see that? At paragraph 2, he mentions that my crew was Sergeant Mkhize on this particular day of the 22nd day of June. Okay, then he continues still at paragraph 2. We were posted from our office to do inspection on certain listed containers at CHC depot. In prospecting, do you see that?
Yes, I
This is our daily routine at the same depot and other depot places. The next paragraph he states, during the course of our duties, we were approached by the male person identified himself as Colonel Jacob from DPCI Durban. He informed us that they recovered drugs from one of the containers at the same container depot we were busy at. He further requested us to assist them transporting the exhibits with our state vehicle, and we agreed to assist them. So, according to Sergeant Govender, they were not even present because they were informed that you had discovered the drugs.
Yes.
So both your statements are wrong to say that they are the two ORS members you say were present during the breaking of the seal.
concede that.
Okay. And they say that you actually approached them while they were executing their normal duties to ask them simply to request to assist you in transporting the exhibits. That's all that's the only role they played.
Yes, that's
Confirm.
the role they played in terms
Okay.
of conveying exhibits, Commissioner.
Now, at the last paragraph of that same statement, Sergeant Govender states the container they recovered the drugs from was not part of the containers we were to inspect, and we were not part of their operation.
Yes, that's, I've alluded to their role. If he deems that not to be part of the operation, I can't disagree.
You made them part of the operation as ORS members consistently in your statement, and that is wrong. And you knew that is not correct because this is what you requested of them to do. They were busy with their own business on the day. Literally, you saw them pass and you said, hey, can you bring I need transport. That's all you ever did. He specifically says we were not part of their operation. How could you make a mistake and say that they were part of your operation?
Yes, Commissioner, if I may go to the statement that we did obtain and file in the inquiry, would that help shed some light? It's a different statement to this one that you've got on CJC 261.
Okay, we'll try and locate it. But you see, if CJC 261 at the top is written Durban's SOCI inquiry case number 28/06/2021. That's your inquiry file.
Yes, that's correct.
So which other statement?
I'm going to look for it now.
Try and describe it, and we'll see if we can help locate.
While he's busy with that, I see that on the same page, 777, paragraph 2.
Yes.
He said, sorry. Advocate Silo, the statement referred to in paragraph 2 on page 770.
Yes. Oh, yes. Where it says I would like to further my statement I submitted. There is a first statement. We have to go into the inquiry file for that, right?
Or is it the same statement he's referring to?
It has got to be the same statement, but it's in the same inquiry file.
Okay.
So there seemingly was a statement by this Sergeant Govender. This is his second statement, but both in the inquiry. Are you suggesting that the first statement would be inconsistent with what is set out in this second statement? This is a more extensive statement.
I just want to look at the content quickly. I've got both here. Please bear with me.
No. Have you managed to locate the first?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yes. I've got this first statement. It's filed as A20 in the original.
The A20, that's fine.
Yes.
We'll locate it.
Should I read it, Commissioner?
Please.
Okay, it's the statement of Sergeant Govender. He goes with his parcel and his rank and all of that. Then Paragraph 2, on the 22nd of June 2021, I reported for duty in full regulation uniform at 7:15 and was in the company of Sergeant Mkize. I was posted as a driver of Mark State motor vehicle, Hyundai, and he goes on to give the vehicle details, conducting container inspections at the CHC and ICS depots. Whilst busy with container inspections at the CHC depot at 14th Avenue, the East Prospective, I was approached by 2 other police officials dressed in civilian attire. They identified themselves as Lieutenant Colonel Jacob from DPCI and another Captain Duma from Crime Intelligence. They had inspected container number, and we go on with the container number, and had identified some black canvas bags that allegedly had cocaine in them. Sergeant Mkize and I were requested to assist with loading these bags into our vehicle and conveying them to Sipingo SAP. Sergeant Mkize and I, together with other DPCI members, transferred these black bags from the container into the H1 Mark State vehicle that I was driving. I counted 27 such bags. We were escorted by Lieutenant Colonel Jacob and his team to Sipingo SAP, where we assisted in offloading the black bags. The DPCI members were busy counting the yellow and black bricks of suspected cocaine when we left the scene. From my observations, each bag contained approximately 20 such bricks. We then left the scene and proceeded with our normal duties.
So is that statement you just read inconsistent with the one we have here? It's still about
more
being
or less the
approached by
same
you
content.
to request with providing transport.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So our record is on 627.
On 627?
Yes.
So we can accept these were not the ORS members part of your operation, whether on the version of this first statement or this one. They were not.
Their role was limited, if I may put it that way, Commissioner.
They had no role until you requested them to provide
Yes,
transport.
they were not part of it. I can concede, Commissioner.
And if you go at 262, page 779, that is then the statement in the same inquiry of Sergeant Wanda Kolani Mkize. It's worded in more or less the same terms.
Yes.
Please cast your eye and satisfy yourself. He confirms, it's literally written the same way, except he states that he was a crew of a marked vehicle given the details driven by Sergeant Gavin.
Yes.
Then he states, so then the commissioners can accept we're at a point where we know in this operation there were no customs officials. You never contacted any and there were none at the scene.
May I comment to that?
Say that again?
May I make a comment?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay. There's no obligation on the police to include customs on any operation, or not more especially, on a drug operation. There's no obligation on the police to call customs. Our mandate is to deal with transnational drug trafficking, drug consignments coming through harbors, national key points. So there's no obligation on us to call customs out.
And just for the record, I'm not imposing any obligation. I'm just clarifying as to who was at the scene.
Yes, customs was not
Okay.
there.
We will get to the obligation. As we understand it, when these containers are at the depot, they haven't cleared customs. Do you have a different understanding?
No, I don't.
You know that.
In fact, I'm not 100% clear on that, to be honest, but I may proceed.
So if the evidence as we have it is correct that they haven't cleared customs, they would still be within customs jurisdiction, logically.
Yes, I would think so.
So do you want to maintain that there would be no obligation to inform them that you are on their territory and carrying out an operation?
I still maintain that we had no obligation. We were not looking at customs offences.
No. On the basis that you are within their area of responsibility and you are carrying out an operation, you say you have no obligation even to give them a courtesy call.
There's no obligation, Commissioner.
Is that how you treat every corner of South Africa?
No, Commissioner, if I may comment on that as well. It's not the norm with the operations that, although I may not have been the investigating officer, but on the numerous operations that I've attended, lots of them, I would say 60% or even 70%, don't have customs officials.
Can we just check with respect to these, not the other percentages? This particular operation,
Yes.
We know from evidence, and you have also said that from the docket, you did see a detention notice
Yes.
on the C section or something. So we are dealing with a container which is under the control of customs, as in customs has given a detention notice. And I want to understand how it is that they have stopped a container for inspection. We know it was bone meal in there, and we know that it needed to be checked for that reason by a vet, if there are no other reasons at all. And you go there, you're saying you open a container that is being kept or detained on the instruction of SARS or customs, and they have no interest in you open that container and what you do. Is that what you're saying?
Commissioner, I think I need to point out that we only became aware of customs' interest in this container after this operation. Remember, the customs detention notice is dated the 23rd of June, 2021. We conducted the operation on the 22nd of June, 2021. Had somebody informed me, whether it be the warehouse or anybody informed me that customs had a detention notice or intended to detain these containers, then we would have gladly invited them on board.
Can I just amend my question?
Yes.
It is not under detention, but it is still under control of customs. It hasn't cleared customs. I think that's a conversation you've had right now, and you accept that it hadn't cleared customs. It's sitting in the depot. If it hasn't cleared customs, which it must still do, are you saying customs will let you walk in, open it, do whatever you want to do, remove what you want to remove, and you walk on, and then they will happily later on do whatever they normally do in clearing that container without knowing or any sight at all of what you came on and did on that container? Is that how you say it works?
Commissioner, my understanding is, as much as we can say, it's not a must that customs need to check every container that has bone meal in it. It's not their duty to do that, to check every container that has bone meal. The detention notice, in my understanding, had very little or nothing to do with the actual commodity. The person whose duty it is to view that commodity or make sure it meets the required standards is the State Vet, Department of Agriculture. So customs, in my opinion, in my understanding, once it had left the harbour, it went to a depot. The next step in that whole process was, I think the State Vet would have come through and inspected to make sure all is in order. However, to me, it was going to be transported. The next step was it was going to reach its consignee. I'm not aware of customs checking every consignment of bone meal just by virtue of it being...
Well, the evidence that we have received, if I understood it correctly, it is that because it is bone meal, it necessarily falls in the category of things that must be checked. They cannot come into the country without checking.
Yes.
So I'm asking you the question, and our understanding was it is customs that flags it for it to be packed so that it can be checked for that purpose. And really the essence of my question is, someone else, another agency has an interest in this, and you know it's bone meal, you do. So another agency has an interest in it. Are you saying the manner in which things operate, as it's such that you can come in, open it up, do whatever you do in the absence of that other party agency, that other state agency which has an interest in the container, and then you move on, and in their good time they'll come and do their whatever they do with it without any insight into what you did, and then later on, as we know it happened here, you are the one that comes back to release it, to say to the clearing agent, this can go. I'm just trying to make sense of that way of operating.
Yes. Okay, I hear you, Commissioner, and I hope I'm not laboring on the wrong point, excuse me. But what I'm trying to get at is, we were only aware of this customs detention notice after our search. The detention notice, when I looked through the inquiry, is dated the 23rd of June. So at the time of us conducting this search or inspection of the container, at that stage, none of us knew that customs had an interest in this container.
I also understood that ORS would know because the communication, as this consignment is coming, the communication would eventually land at ORS, and ORS will inform whoever it informs. That's how I've understood that. So through ORS, there would have been communication on the system that this consignment is coming and this is flagged for reason A, B, C, D. Is that not your understanding of how it works?
That's difficult for me to answer, Commissioner, but I would say that in not all cases that we've encountered are customs and SAPS on the same page. To give you an example practically, it sometimes happens that it clashes, like SAPS is interested in a certain container, and then you learn that customs is also now interested, and it's only at the 11th hour when both parties are now interested to go inspect it. So I don't want to mislead the Commission, but I'm saying I don't think there's any system in place, or if there was, Border Police did not tell us, the warehouse manager did not tell us, so I'm saying to the
Well, Border Police couldn't tell you because you didn't speak to them. You didn't involve them at all. So they couldn't have told you.
The Border Police is Sergeant Mkize, and...
No, Sergeant Mkize is your lift. He plays no other role than to give you transport, because suddenly you find you have 27 bags to transport. Let's not make his role any bigger than that. He tells us in his statement.
Yes.
Yes. So he couldn't have said to you that, no, you know what, this container has been flagged for inspection by ORS. He couldn't have told you that.
Yes. Commissioner, if I may, if I look at the governor's statement, it's page 777, right?
It says only that you asked them to assist with taking these things out of the container and then transporting them. Mkize says exactly the same thing.
Okay. Commissioner, if I may draw your attention to the last sentence on page 777.
Yes.
He says the container they recovered the drugs from was not part of the containers we were to inspect, and we were not part of the operation.
Yes.
So in the same breath, he says it's not the part of the containers he was to inspect.
Yes.
So I'm just drawing an inference. I may be misquoting him, but my thinking is that if he knew that either Border Police was interested in this container or whichever other law enforcement agency, he would have mentioned something to us.
No, that logic is faulty. I'm engaging you on the basis of you saying ORS, Border Patrol did not inform us, and I say, but you did not speak to Border Police. These are police on the ground. So when you say Border Police did not inform us that this container has been flagged, you're not talking about the patrol people who are going to be inspecting specified containers. You must be talking about someone in an office who is responsible to tell you this is what's happening on the ground. There is that container that we have flagged for inspection.
None of that was mentioned.
Because you did not speak to the right to the right people in ORS. Simple. You didn't call the commander, the border commander. I think, in fact, this in this ORS process, we have learned that the intelligence gets the information. Intelligence speaks to the ORS commander, informs them, and then you guys go on to operationalize what is happening. So, when you say ORS did not inform us, I'm picking a problem with you that you want to equate Mkhize and Governor as, well, we did speak to ORS, they didn't tell us anything.
No,
when in fact all they were was transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So, at the end, where we land is the only people who were present in this operation were the DPCI members led by yourself and Captain Duma from Crime Intelligence.
And warehouse staff.
And warehouse staff, absolutely.
Yes,
and that
right.
is Ms. Pillay.
Not only Pillay, some other warehouse staff as well.
That the manager was Ms. Pillay.
Yes.
Now, in your experience, you have done drug busts before, particularly at the port, and I take it that the port is a point of entry of goods for commerce.
Yes.
You accept that? At which point, must you engage the owner of the container? Because the container is carrying, I will take it, valuable commercial commodity. In your experience, is it necessary to tell the owner that we are about to break your seal? Or you break the seal and you tell them afterwards?
No, in my experience, you need to inform either the clearing agent, consignee, but basically the person who's responsible for that container.
And who was that person in this instance?
In this
Do you recall the clearing agent or the consignee?
At that point in time, the clearing agent was the custodian that said container. And I took Captain Duma's word that, yes, he had phoned the relevant parties, and now he had spoken to the warehouse manager. And when we did arrive there, she was familiar with what we expected of her. So in my mind, Commissioners, it was a consensual or voluntary search.
So you didn't consider yourself, you're about to break a seal.
Yes.
Private cargo. You did not consider yourself duty-bound to at least satisfy yourself that you had the requisite authorization from the owner of the container?
No, I didn't do that.
Why not?
I took it for granted that the warehouse manager was around assisting us, aware of what was happening, and Captain Duma further indicated that he had spoken to the transporter and the clearing agent. So to me, all parties that had an interest or were possible custodians of the container were aware and had given consent to search.
And what if Captain Duma was misleading you deliberately because he knew that you will take responsibility for breaking that seal? Did you ever consider that as a possibility? His job is to provide the intelligence. He testified here yesterday to be present when that seal is broken and the container opened, and to satisfy himself whether his intelligence was correct. Beyond that, he's got absolutely no role. So you take full responsibility for that container.
Yes, I didn't go do any further or make further inquiries to ensure that.
You are aware that the clearing agent said they were never informed, engaged with, and they only learned of the seal being broken, the container being broken into after the fact on the 23rd of June.
Commissioner, it's only when watching the commission that I became aware of that, and I want to explain why. During the course of this investigation, I eventually obtained statements from the transporter, the clearing agent, consignee, all of them. And none of them, even this from Mega Freight, the representative that came through on the 1st of July, none of them expressed any dissatisfaction with the container being opened. At no stage did any one of them. In fact, they were grateful that the police had intercepted this rather than it reaching one of their companies or their name being tarnished because it was found on their premises. So none of them voiced any displeasure at our search.
I'm not interested in particular in whether or not they voiced displeasure. I'm interested in whether you knew who the authorized person for that container was. And your investigation diary would seem to suggest you knew. You knew it was Mr. Flowerday of Mega Freight. You reflect that on the 1st of July 2021. If we go to CHC 268 at page 803, the entry there at the bottom is dated 0107, and it's actually countersigned by you on the overleaf at page 804.
Yes, that's correct.
And your inquiry file shows that you obtained a statement from Mr. Flowerday of Mega, and in that statement he states that he was not informed. So you can't have learned from this commission.
No, maybe I missed it. In the inquiry file, let me have a
I'll give you a reference for Mr. Flowerday's statement. If you go to CJC 244.25, that will be page 654. And it's a handwritten statement, 654. That at 656 is dated 27 October 2025. That's his second statement.
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes, I've got it.
That is the 2025 statement. But if you go back to 595, you will find his first statement.
Advocate, look, we set until late. Bear with us when you move.
Commissioner, if it's any consolation to you, I sat with you till late yesterday. I apologize. The point I'm making is there are two statements. The one statement is the one at 654, that is a 2025 statement. But if you look at that statement, it says at paragraph 3, I would like to further my statement I submitted on previous occasion. That's at 654.
Yes.
So then we have to go find the first statement. And I'm saying the first statement is at page 595.
Yes.
You have located it.
I've got it.
And this is undated, unfortunately. No, it's dated May 2022 at 14:45. You see that?
595, Commissioner.
595.
Yes.
Overleaf at 596, that's where you find the date.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, you were aware of Mr. Flower Day of Megafreight by the existence of that human being by the 1st of July 2021.
Yes, that's
What did he tell you about this operation and the breaking of that seal?
He never voiced any dissatisfaction. He came through with laborers to unpack the rest of containers, so at no stage was I aware of displeasure.
Why do you insist on displeasure? I mean,
okay,
you call them, I think earlier you called them role players. Is he not an important role player? You just said that's one of the entities you must obtain permission from. I would have assumed that when you conduct your inquiry, you at least would satisfy yourself that there's been compliance in that regard, because you tell us that thus far you have just simply relied on what Captain Duma told you.
Yes, I did rely on that.
Now, by 1st of July, you
Yes.
know the responsible person from Megafreight.
Yes.
Why did you not obtain a statement from him?
I'm going to just check quickly, Commissioner, if I did eventually. I'm sure I did obtain a statement from him.
Okay, are you in the inquiry file?
I'm looking at my inquiry file.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can give
Yes.
us the statement number. I'll try and check it.
No, I see. There's a whole lot of liaison between myself and Megafreight. There's a whole lot of liaison. I say one of my entries, she indicated that it be finalized. The statement couriered to our office 21st of the 12th. Prior to that, I said, made numerous calls to her, the person from the Fed, agreed that the affidavit be finalized by 1500. There's a whole lot of diary entries, but I don't seem to have got a final statement. I didn't.
Okay, we'll try and see if there was a statement then before this one that we have. But what we have at 595 at the last paragraph,
Yes.
that is Mr. Flower's statement. It reads, in this matter, I was not informed of the container inspection on the 22nd of June 2021, the day the drugs was seized as CHC container depot. I only received the instruction to attend inspection on 23rd day of June 2021. That was not your instruction. You didn't have an inspection on the 23rd day.
No.
So the operation of the 22nd, he was not involved or informed of it.
I see that.
You see that? Is that a concern?
Yes, it is a concern. I was of the impression that all the entities were according.
Can I just ask, why should the clearing and forwarding agent be informed that you're going to be opening their container?
They are the custodians or the ones that basically take the behalf of consigning from the time. So it's only consent. We've had lots of cases because the clearing agent is not based anywhere close to Durban. You would get them sometimes giving you authority to just search, or other times sending. So in this case, I did.
You didn't do what you should have done, which was you as the person in charge should have satisfied yourself that the clearing agent has agreed to this.
And I think, thank you, Commissioner Baloy. The answer to that question, actually, Mr. Flowerday gives us still at page 595. And it's consistent with what you say. We are at paragraph 3, that big paragraph that starts with my duties will also, you see where I'm reading?
Yes, I can
Okay,
see.
now if you go to the bottom, third line from the bottom of that paragraph, it says, under no circumstances the officials will break the container seal without me being present, as I will be representing the client who's the owner of the shipment in the container. The official will either call for unpacking of the container or grant tailboard exam without unpacking. But the key thing here is under no circumstances must it be opened in his absence.
Yes, I see that.
If you go to the next paragraph, midway, that would be the third sentence of that paragraph, says after then it is opened and inspected, the container will be resealed with a new seal. I, Flowerday, will then prepare the inspection report and invoice the clearing agent. So it would seem that besides being the owner, there is an inspection report that must be completed. You see that?
Yes, I see that.
Do you have a challenge with that suggestion that there is a requirement for a clearing report, an inspection report, rather?
Yes, I was not aware that it's something required, Commissioner.
Do you, as the DPCI, have a requirement that an inspection report be compiled?
No, that's not one of our not something that's adhered to at all times.
At all times?
Yes.
So you adhere to it sometimes?
It's in cases where the clearing agent has a representative to send over. There are other times where they just grant you permission as long as the warehouse supervisor is present.
No, my question is slightly different. I think I'm interested in the notion of an inspection report. You, as the DPCI, when you go opening containers at the harbour,
yes,
do you have a requirement to have an inspection report compiled? I would like to believe that the purpose of that document is to at least explain your conduct.
Yes.
Is there no such requirement for DPCI members?
I have not come across it, Commissioner. I have not.
You're not. Is there a requirement, isn't there?
It looks like when I read, but I haven't come across it. I don't know what it looks like.
Are you aware that the ORS at the harbour has that requirement? And in this regard, I would like to refer you to CJC 246, and that's an earlier, it's the nearest one, but it's the earlier SOP. But I believe you did say that you have some experience in searching containers at the harbour.
Yes.
So if you go to paragraph 7.2 of CJC, did I say 246? Yeah. 249. In fact, I'm going to correct that. I know what Commissioner Khumalo was talking about now, about a long day. That's the ORS, the ORS SOP. That will be CJC 255. 255. At page 686, correct. And I'm interested in particular in that ORS at paragraph 7.2 at 692. You see that?
Yes, I can.
And that ORS tells me of the formality associated with inspection of these containers, at least insofar as ORS Durban Harbour is concerned. If you look at paragraph 7.2, and I'll just extract a few points here, at bullet point 2. So the depot inspection team will receive the police stop inspections, right? And then overleaf, it says, first bullet point at the top, the inspection report is dispatched from the admin profilers once the container has been booked for inspection at a licensed depot. You see that?
Sorry, Commissioner, I lost you there. We're looking at page?
We started at page 690,
okay.
and I've turned overleaf at 691.
Yes.
The very first bullet point at the top.
Yes, I see it now.
All right? And then that's the one that says an inspection report is dispatched. And then lists what must be contained in the inspection report.
Yes.
The information. And you are saying to me that DPCI doesn't have that formality.
I've not seen this before, but I see there is an onus on us to plead something of this nature.
And then I'm reading from the ORS Durban Harbour SOP. I want to know whether DPCI has got similar formal processes, or do you just write roughshod?
I've never seen this inspection report. I would think it may be unique to Border Police, but I'm not 100% certain.
I'm asking about DPCI.
No,
I tell you
haven't
this
seen
is
it.
Border Police,
Yes.
this is ORS Durban Harbour, and I'm reading the SOP. All I'm trying to determine is, do you have anything similar? Are you this formalized?
No,
or
we
do you
don't.
just write roughshod over these
No, we don't have this type of. But if I may add, if I look at all of this that's required on this inspection report,
Yes.
we do have all of this on hand.
What do you have?
In the inquiry, there's an inquiry number, there's a member in charge of the inquiry, there's a container number, there would be a size of the container, what was the container stopped for, narcotics, the risk factor, the commodity declared, and the place of examination.
And where is that information captured? All that information?
I'm saying it wasn't captured at that
No,
stage.
you say you have it.
Yeah.
Where does DPCI capture all this information?
It
At
would be-
ORS in Durban Harbour, they capture it in an inspection report. Where do you capture?
Our inquiry would carry all of this information.
Doesn't answer my question, Colonel. Where do you capture? In what
No,
document?
we
If I
don't
were
have
to
a-
talk, my apologies. If I were to talk to, say, Brigadier Newton at the Durban Harbour, if it is an ORS-led or inspection, I would ask for the inspection report. But if it is a DPCI-led operation and I speak to your final boss, what do I ask for? To obtain that very information that you say you have already. What's the document I ask for? Is there one to ask for in the first place?
No, there's no
There
document.
isn't.
Yes,
So it's information that is there, but it's scattered all over.
that's correct.
Okay.
Can I just follow up on this? So, except for the investigation diary, and assuming for purposes of what I'm putting to you now, that it is it contains an accurate contemporaneous notes or reflection of what happened on the dates that are claimed to have recorded this. Except for that, it seems to me about this operation in particular, that there is in fact no other record of what happened at the scene. And the scene being where you found these drugs.
Aside from the affidavits of various
The
individuals.
affidavits are much later.
Yeah.
You see, we're having a discussion here. You're having a discussion with the evidence leader about an inspection report. And in 7.2, it is clear in 7.2 that this is a document, or this information is completed during the inspection, right? It tells you inspection is to be conducted within these hours, and then you must then record all of these things. That's at least how I read it. And I'm asking you that in this particular operation, all we have is that investigation diary. We have nothing that is the equivalent of this kind of inspection report.
You are correct.
I am correct. Thank you.
Okay, Silo, can I just follow up? Colonel, this document, the SOP, Standard Operating Procedures, you say you've never seen this before.
I've never.
And this one, we can accept that it belongs to ORS, Operational Response Services. Does the PCI have a similar document that sets out what you must do when you go to a drug bust port or a similar facility?
That's a good question, Commissioner. In fact, there's nothing in place in terms of a memorandum of understanding between ourselves, Border Police, Customs. So we did sit around the table, I would think, maybe 1 year ago. We've had some deliberations with senior officials from Customs, the brigadier that's in charge of the harbour as well. We're in the process of drafting something. So there was nothing formalized to basically dictate how do we work, how do we approach these these sort of interdictions at the harbour or at depots.
So are you saying to us, you do as you please? If you hear that there are drugs at a port or at a depot rather, you just go there and you do as you please and you exercise your discretion?
I think that maybe, I don't want to put it too loosely, like there's no order in the way we work.
Obviously within the confines of policing.
Yes, there isn't really any memorandum of understanding or any standard operating procedure or any document that would guide us exactly who goes there first, who do you call out next. For now, it's verbal agreements. We got understandings with the border police, but there isn't any formalized document that talks to how do we jointly approach these type of
But
cases.
did you not consider yourself duty-bound, seeing that you had never led an operation of this nature? You said to Chair earlier that you had participated, but you had never yourself led an operation of this nature. Did you not consider yourself duty-bound to communicate with the relevant stakeholders so that you know what to do when you get there, who to contact and what not to do?
I should have done that, Commissioner. I did not. I took it for granted. I've been watching my members do it all along. I went there and I just did the same.
Because it goes back to that perception you mentioned in your affidavit that the way things were done in this operation leads one to believe that this was all deliberate. This was all part of a plan to seize those drugs, not book them in a police station, book them in a place where they are susceptible to theft and break-ins, and they have disappeared, as we know, because no proper procedures were followed. Are you even bound by the national instruction applicable to drug seizures, as DPCI?
Yes, definitely. The national instructions apply to the police holistically.
Now, sitting here today, focusing only on what you have covered with Advocate Sillo, up to the point where you take the drugs out of the containers, sitting here today, can you say to us that you complied fully with that national instruction?
Honestly, no, I haven't complied fully.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. If we could just then complete this little exercise, and it really is for my benefit to understand how things are done at the DPCI. And as Commissioner Kumalo points out, it starts at the harbour when you open that container, and it stretches all the way to the weekend of the 6th to the 8th of November when there's a break-in at Port Shepstone offices to steal. And we are looking at what happened at which step, and that is the purpose of this exercise.
Yes.
And as Commissioner Kumalo points out, to determine whether or not that eventual theft was purely coincidental or was it set up from the beginning, the answer will depend on the answer to that particular question will depend on the information you provide to the commissioners to make that call.
I understand.
So they would appreciate your assistance.
Yes.
So then, staying at page 691, just then we have dealt with the first bullet point in the listing: duties of the inspection team upon inspection of profiled containers at licensed depots, right? And I'll say, to your fairness, there is a notion in the SOP as to what is a profiled container. It goes through a process, it's profiled, identified, and then it's selected for inspection. So that is the official process. But I'm sure you'll agree with me that this particular container, through the intelligence of Captain Duma, was quote-unquote profiled. It was one of 10 containers being brought on that vessel, the Ludo.
Yes.
You are aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware.
And it is the only container that you were directed to search.
Yes, that's right.
Would you accept then, therefore, it was ICE? And I put that in quotation marks, it was profiled.
I would think to some degree, yes.
So then here in terms of ORS, what would be appropriate procedure for dealing with a profiled container? If you go to the fifth bullet point, at ORS they say, amongst other things, the type of inspection conducted must be endorsed in the inspection report. You see where I'm reading?
Yes, I can see.
And in parentheses, full unpack, tunnel, or tailboard inspection. Do you know what those are? Are you familiar with the terms?
Yes, I have a vague idea. A tunnel examination, a full unpack of the tailboard. I have an idea.
Okay. The bullet points following actually do it for us. I asked because I'm wholly unfamiliar. A full unpack is when all goods in the container is unpacked and placed within the depot facility for easy accessibility and proper inspection of the goods by the inspection teams. Then it adds, and to also allow the capacity of K9 unit to search the container for possible detection of narcotics. Second sub-point, a tunnel examination is when either the right, left side of the container is unpacked in order for easy accessibility and proper inspection of the goods by the inspection teams, and to also allow the capacity of the K9 unit to search the container for possible detection of narcotics. They inform us. Is it correct? Would it be correct to conclude that you did, according to this definition, a tailboard inspection of that container?
Yes, it would seem like it wasn't a tunnel inspection, so it was a tailboard.
Sorry, I missed that?
It was not a tunnel inspection or a tunnel examination.
Yes.
It was this tailboard inspection.
Tailboard. And
What is a tailboard inspection?
You say yes, a full. It's one side of it where you open. That's my understanding. I could be mistaken. We just opened the doors, then we saw what was lying on top. We took it out, and then we just merely inspected it at that stage. Didn't do a full unpack. I could be wrong, but that's my layman's understanding.
I understood so as well. There is some document we read earlier, and we read that word. I thought that was the understanding. When it's packed at the opening of the container, upon opening the container is the first thing you see. Yes. But I'll cross-check that overnight just to confirm. So on that definition, you conducted a tailboard inspection.
Yes,
Correct?
yes.
How did you know at the time that there was nothing beyond what you could see, those bags? Why did you decide that it doesn't require a full unpack or a tunnel as described here?
Okay. Just by virtue of my observations, Commissioner.
So what exactly did you observe?
Okay, when we did unpack those 27 canvas bags, you could see these bags of 50-kilo bags of animal feed, and it's got a peculiar smell, it's got a peculiar texture, color, all of that, and you got a little bit of this residue coming out of the bags as well. So that's what I noticed. These bags you could clearly see there were some product, it's got that food kind of smell to it, like dog food sort of. So it was merely by visual observation and looking through and seeing there's no anomalies in the rows that were packed, there's no height differences. It was not a thorough inspection, but we did come back to further inspect it on the 1st of July.
Why? Why did you go back on the 1st of?
For the purpose of being thorough, to make sure that nothing further was there, also to release this container to the intended consignee.
What I don't understand is why did you not find the need on the 22nd of June to be that thorough? Why did you have this brainwave a week later?
Okay. Commissioner, if you look at it, it was 5,395 50-kilogram bags.
But that you discover only after you unpacked.
No, we had the packing list, Commissioner, so we were aware.
Sorry if I may say, but you didn't know that on the 22nd of June, did you?
We had the packing list, we
Still?
did know it, yes. Yes, Commissioner.
So you were already aware of the number of bags, you just decided you are not doing that unpacking today, you're going to take what you found when you opened the container, seal the container, and you're off, you'll come back on another day. Was that like the approach you adopted for the day?
Yes, but may I clarify?
Okay, absolutely.
Okay. The moving of such a volume of bags, despite what other witnesses may have said here, no warehouse is going to just let you utilize their staff for how many hours when it doesn't benefit them really. So the onus is up to, like, I'll give you an example. When it comes to counterfeit goods, you get the brand attorneys, the brand agents that come through with laborers that they employ for this specific purpose. So it's not light work to move 5,000 somewhat 50-kilogram bags. So if we had done it then, the majority of our labor and our time would have been wasted, not wasted, but would have been offloading bags for hours and hours instead of focusing on the narcotics that we've just seized. I was satisfied. My members also did look in there. We sealed the container. So in my mind, we had, and generally rip-on, rip-off works like that, Commissioner. In my experience, what you see in the front of the container, 10 out of 10 times it was what was in the container. So yes, I did not do a proper, thorough unpack or inspection of the rest of the container. I didn't at that stage.
You've just said something that I find quite startling. You say that no warehouse is going to allow you to, I'll paraphrase, search in the manner in which you want to, if it is not to their benefit. Is that last part that I want to focus on, and there I'm not paraphrasing, those are your words,
yes.
If it is not to their benefit.
Okay, maybe my choice of word, Chair, was not correct. My point was...
And I say that's startling because I cannot see how crime detection could or is to depend on the benefit of the warehouse.
My apologies, Chair. It's not benefit. The point I was trying to make is that the depots are not forthcoming with laborers if you want to do a full unpack, especially when it comes to voluminous commodities like we did have here. So you need to get your own laborers. You need to get your own manpower to unpack.
It may actually not be a mistake that you say this, because somewhere, let me just look. I hope I won't mess up your probing.
Not at all, Chair.
Thank you. So what you just said now actually accords with what you say in your statement. Somewhere in your statement, I hope to find it just now. Somewhere in your statement, you say that you did not want to prejudice the depot, basically, the operations of the depot. So that actually ties in with what you said now about the benefit of the warehouse. This you say in paragraph 21 of your statement. Do you want to go there? There you say, I took the decision not to cordon off and close the depot. I did not want to prejudice the company by closing them down for the rest of the day, as they were not suspects in the matter. So it actually ties in with your statement about the benefit of what you called now the warehouse.
I think
so. You were actually not making a mistake when we spoke about the benefit of the warehouse.
It was just a wrong choice.
But have you had a look at the first two sentences of paragraph 21? Please do so now.
Yes, I did.
Your statement prepared for the commission.
Yes.
But do you see that the two are basically similar in substance?
Yes, I know.
So you should accept when I say to you that when you spoke about the benefit of the warehouse, you're not making a mistake. This is something that's in your head, which is why you would have it in your statement in paragraph 21. It can't be a mistake. You can't repeat the same mistake.
I didn't. That was not my intention when I said.
I mean, when you prepare a written statement, you sit down, you think it through, and then you put. It's no longer pen to paper now. It's clicking keys on your iPad, laptop, or whatever. So you can't talk about a mistake in paragraph 21, can you?
Yes, no, this is not a mistake.
Yeah. Now you've just accepted that this ties in with what you said about the benefit to the warehouse. You remember you just accepted that now. So if it's not a mistake in paragraph 21, it can't be a mistake when you said it here. Can it be?
May I be allowed
The two basically say the same thing.
Yes.
So you can't say the one, which is what you just said now, is a mistake. But this one in paragraph 21 is not a mistake.
May I comment to this?
Yes,
Chair?
yes.
Okay, I think the point I'm trying to drive through, Chair, is that not every company has the manpower to spare or to do it efficiently enough, especially with the movement of over 5,000 50-kilogram bags. So that was just my point, that they're not too keen on doing it as well, so that's what I was trying to drive, that is why we didn't do it at that point. We know that normally for this type of unpack, you prepared with your own list. So I did not intend that way, but I was mindful, and then in the same breath, I'll say I was mindful, especially at this stage when it came to paragraph 21, about closing this company off for the rest of the day. Yes, I was mindful of that.
I will engage you further. It's just that I do not want to disturb Ms. Silo's probing.
Chair, you may proceed, otherwise we will pick it up again tomorrow, but it's not disturbing my flow at all.
Oh, thank you. Do you accept that the optimal way to perform the search and work the crime scene was to do that at location? Do you accept that?
Yes.
That is where the container was?
I accept.
Or at the most, to just remove it where it was, because you say there was a container this side and another container this side. Maybe to just move it even before opening it to where there would be enough space for you to do a proper cordoning off, yes. Correct?
You are correct.
And would you say there wasn't sufficient space for you to move the container in that manner?
Yes, Chair.
There was?
No, there wasn't.
There wasn't. So all the space that was available was the space where there were containers along each other and not any other space anywhere else within that entire precinct at the depot. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that, Chair.
That's exactly what I'm asking you.
Yes,
so
was
there space for you to move the container from where there were containers on either side, yes, within the precinct?
I didn't fully inspect it, but I would.
No. I'm talking about space. Was there space for that?
I would think so.
So you could have moved the container?
Yes.
And then you would have had enough space to cordon off that area where you had moved it to, yes. Not so?
Yes.
Now you've accepted that the optimal thing for you to do was to do it at location. And now you've just admitted or accepted also that you could have moved it to have enough space to cordon off so that you are not obstructed by containers on either side. So you've accepted that as well. And now you've said, or rather, and you inspect, search, conduct the operation on location, not for the sake of it. You do not do that for the sake of it. There are practical considerations for that, correct?
Yes.
And for example, there should be no tampering with fingerprints and DNA before the LCRC has checked for these. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, here you did not call LCRC. You've said paragraph 7 of your statement of the 23rd of June 2022. Your statement of 22 June 2022. Paragraph 7, page 648 of Exhibit File 2. You say in so many ways that you did not call LCRC, correct?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Here's what you say: I did not request LCRC to attend the scene. The first sentence of paragraph 7. You see that?
Right.
Page 648, Exhibit File 2.
Yes, I see it, Chair.
So now you accept that it's important for the LCRC to check for the DNA and fingerprints on location. The reason for that, obviously, is that there should be no tampering. The LCRC, wherever possible, should be able to uplift the fingerprints and the DNA, if there is any, if there are any,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, when exhibits are handled before the LCRC has uplifted the fingerprints and DNA, there are chances, or rather, there may be chances of successfully uplifting these. That is, if the LCRC works on the exhibits before they have been handled or moved.
Yes,
do you accept?
I do.
Now, but if it's the opposite that has happened, that is, if they have been touched, handled, and moved, or moved, the chances of that happening may be brought to naught. Is that correct?
You are correct.
Now, at the time you did this, that is, choosing not to call LCRC, handling and moving these exhibits, what were you thinking about the utility of allowing LCRC to first check for fingerprints and DNA? What were you thinking about the utility of that?
Chair, it's my answer. It may not be accepted well, but in my experience, all of these cases, although, like I indicated, I may not have investigated hands-on these cases. I've inspected them. On numerous occasions, cases are generated. I have sight of. Even if I give you 20 rip-on-rip-off loads that we had addressed or seized, made seizures at, in not one of these cases, not one, have we ever received any feedback by way of LCRC in terms of fingerprints uplifted or DNA. And Chair, I'm going to go a little further to explain why as well. I'm not sure why they didn't give us any feedback, but as a detective, from my point of view, I'm saying you've got a very slim to none chance of objectively linking your suspect to those drugs that were found in a rip-on, rip-off load. There's no way to distinguish between fingerprints or DNA, more especially in the container, fingerprints or DNA that belong to your suspects and those that belong to legitimate port officials who had loaded the legitimate commodity in the container. So I'm not sure whether that plays a role in it, but part of my decision not to call them was based on the fact that out of every single case of rip-on, rip-off that we had handled, we've received nothing by way of finger DNA.
So Colonel Jacob says, I am taking my own decision and I am not going to allow the ordinary and ordinarily applicable process of having the LCRC to come to the scene and do their work before I handle these goods. I'm taking it upon myself as Colonel Jacob to heed that process. That applies. That is an applicable prescription. I, as Colonel Jacob, am not going to follow that.
Chair, that's one of those decisions that I said to you I will rule for the rest of my life. So,
you see, the problem is, it may be easy for you to say that that's a decision you'll rule for the rest of your life. The problem is, we want to get behind the why. There's a big why in all of this. One, I engaged you earlier on the available storage spaces. There as well, by the way, no, I'm talking about my notes. I've not done it yet. I'm talking about my notes on something I want to engage you on, but I will not do it now. But it was quite plain when Ms. Sildo was engaging you that you did not inquire about the capacity of the other places. Now I remember what I engaged you on were the distances. And you accepted when I engaged you that the one police station within Durban was, the furthest was 24 kilometers, the other 20, another one lesser. And there as well, you didn't really have an explanation as to why you did not go there. Now again, you don't really have an explanation for not following prescripts. And all you say is it's a decision that you will rule for the rest of your life. Bear in mind that in the end, the cocaine or suspected cocaine gets lost. So the question why is very important in connection with all of these steps where there are decisions that you will live to rule for the rest of your life. So the why is very important. And I'm not saying you stole the cocaine, but we're asking all these questions because there's that question of who stole this cocaine. Do you get what I mean? Do you want to comment on that?
What can I say? I think I'll leave it at that, Chair. But just to say that it may have been a sense of complacency that set in or familiarity with, I know this is how these cases go, and that's why I made that decision that I did. However, I see there's no benefit in taking any shortcuts, and I can see how it does not look good to the Commission. These little
not the Commission, you.
Yes.
You.
For me.
Yes.
I understand, Chair.
Can I just ask something to clarify? What your evidence, in fact, is about the LCRC not being called to the scene. Is your evidence, and I ask this question because, depending on your answer, the answers have different consequences. Did you make the decision on the scene not to call the LCRC? That's one possibility, and I'm trying to understand your evidence. Or it never crossed your mind at all that you should be calling. You just went in and did what you and your people did on the scene. Which one of the two?
I'll say, Commissioner, I saw them as an investigative aid that point in time was not priority based on the fact that we had recovered this amount of drugs. We didn't have exhibit bags to seal it in. I didn't want to send members out searching every station for exhibit bags. I saw that the police station was 4 kilometers away.
Yeah, so my question is different. My question is, did you make a decision to not call the LCRC? It's yes or no. We know for a fact they were not there. And I'm asking you a question of, were they not there because you considered it and you made the decision not to call them?
At the scene, yes, I made a decision to call them.
Okay, so you acted in breach of the nation. You made the decision to act in breach of the of the instruction that says you should call the LCRC.
You are correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair.
It may not be, yes.
Oh, no,
No, please.
No, I'm quite aware of the time, and I was saying before the chair orders us to rise for the day, I just wanted to finish off with one question.
You are aware that we have a scheduled meeting for 15:15, but...
Judging by the chair's questions, I thought that meeting was... But a very brief one.
No, yes.
Thank you. Colonel, if you go to your paragraph 35, and we have spoken about this, it's your return to the depot on the 1st of July.
What page number, Commissioner?
Your statement now?
Yeah.
Page 6, paragraph 35. It's the 1st of July, 2021. You are back at the depot with the container. Are you there? Your statement to the commission?
Yeah.
Page 6 of his statement, paragraph 35.
The statement is on what page?
Tab 3 of the consolidated statements.
This one.
Can you read the screen?
Eyesight.
Is one closer to you?
Okay, yes, I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I read out some of it to you. You say, on my return from work, I took over the investigation. Bangaze made it known that he was leaving. Then, third line, on 1st July 21, I proceeded to the CHC depot with Bangaze and Sibia. I had arranged that the clearing agent, Megafreight, send a representative to unpack the container, and we conducted a count of 50 kg bags of animal feed. They amounted to 5395 bags, which corresponded with the packing list. Why did you go back to that container? You don't state here why you went.
Okay. Commissioner, if there was deception involved on the part of the consignee, the clearing agent, in terms of maybe a shortfall in the number of bags, I'm just giving you an example. Instead of 5,395 bags, they've now had 5,200 bags, or even a lesser amount. Then it would indicate to me that maybe they had made allowance for the carting of this cocaine to South Africa. So it would have shown that the fact that their packing list does not correspond with what's on or the number of bags does not correspond with what's on the packing list, there is a possibility that they may have knowledge what's in there, because remember, eventually they're going to receive their commodity. And if there's bags short, one would expect them to complain. And no cartel wants your consignee knowing that you used his container to cart drugs in. So that would have given me the impression that it's possible that our clearing agent or our consignee had knowledge about what was in the container. But the fact that their number of bags corresponded with the shipping documentation, the packing list, to me was an indicator that there was no deception on it.
Now, but then the consignee, it's the recipient of the goods.
That's correct.
But they don't even know, because they haven't had sight of the content of that container, remember? You opened the container in their absence and you resealed it.
That's correct.
Now, you are doing what sounds like customs work. Why are you busy counting animal feed bags? You mentioned to Commissioner Baloyi earlier about the SARS detention notice. You recall that?
Yes.
And it's a list of all those 10 containers.
Yes.
Why didn't you forward that inquiry to SARS to verify for you whether every container, because inter alia that they would check, corresponds to the shipping document? Why must you go and count 5,000 bags?
I think purely because, Commissioner, we were the ones who initially are responsible for that container by virtue of taking the canvas bags, resealing it. I was the one that took that decision. So the actual releasing of the container and ensuring that there's nothing further in that container, and to ensure that this consignee was not doing it, or declared his goods accurately on the SAD 500 and the packing list, was my duty to ensure that there was no red flags.
Okay. You did not detain that container, correct?
No, I did not.
It was never your responsibility to release, because you never detained it.
If I'm not mistaken, Commissioner, I could be wrong, but SARS were done with their detention and
I'm
inspection.
interested in your responsibility to that container. You never detained it, so I say you didn't have the responsibility to release it. By then, SARS had detained it. It then became SARS's responsibility. Why are you meddling in those issues?
I was not, or SARS did not make us aware that they were still interested in it. I did have engagements with them, Commissioner. I'm sure if they still wanted to inspect it, I would have availed the container to them, but I think their interest had waned since we had found those drugs on it.
Did you issue a release notice for this container, SDPCI? I can tell you for free that it's not in the documents, in the docket or the inquiry. Do you have a copy of that?
Yes, I can confirm. Since there was no formal detention notice on it from our side, it was a voluntary search. We did not do any formalized release.
You know there is a release form for those containers, for this particular container, but not issued by DP.
Yes, that release form is after detention notices. Yes,
so okay. I think it's your meeting in the time. I'm happy to stop.
Let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow.